I feel like there's still a lot of people who are seeing AI as like
A game,
ChatGPT.
a toy.
But
The thing is just a game or a toy, but it's not, dude. And ChatGPT is the basics. It was just the beginning. ChatGPT was working as collecting all this information that we ask. How does AI get better? Is you have tons of people asking questions, and the one that asks the questions, the one that receives it, is the one that gets to learn what people are asking for, what they are looking for. We've been feeding it for at least 2 years solidly. I want to find out this solidly asking ChatGPT for a lot of our things that we need. You know how smart that thing is? It knows everything. It knows everything about us. It's listening to us. They're using it to teach kids in school now. We were at the Good Morning Riverside event the other day. They're having a whole a kid learning Pythagorean theorem with ChatGPT. It's like...
At what age?
This kid was like 11 or 12. But that is what we're doing with the system, with ChatGPT. And that is not becoming ancient technology when it comes to AI. It really is.
Man. Really? Like, so... how can I say this? For me, I think what's most concerning is, again, that a lot of people aren't realizing this. Like, they're not really, truly realizing or even getting curious as to how AI works. Mm-hmm. Like, what is it really? Right? And it's so many things. Like, have you ever heard... Have you heard yet of a AI agent?
I think I have, but no. Clear me up on that one.
So an AI agent, what that's supposed to be, at least what I got from some videos that I watch, is it kind of just that. Like, for example, let's just say you ask your Apple AI, right? Eventually, Apple already has their own AI, right? ChatGPT, whatever, it's integrated to the Apple.
Google has it now.
Google has it, Gemini, right? But it's a way of you being able to say, like, hey Siri, right? Damn it, I'm pretty sure all of my phones right now just went off.
Check the cameras.
Right, I'm gonna have to check these cameras. So you say the name of the AI, and you say, I want to get this model watch in this color and at the lowest price.
Go shopping,
right? And I want it to be within for pickup within a 20-mile radius, right? And you say go, and this agent now simultaneously, right, like at the same time, calls 100 different jewelry stores within the area.
It's making the cost to place the order for you.
And a voice, right? Hi, thank you for calling, whatever jeweler. And it's like, hi, my name is Tori, and I'm calling on behalf of Jose Chavez, who is looking for a watch model, this and that. Do you have it in stock? No, we don't have it in stock. Okay, thank you. Yes, we have it in stock. Great. What color do you have it in? Do you have it in the black? Yes or no. Okay, thank you. Bam. Right? Until somebody says, yes, great. How much do you have it for? Well, we have it on special, or we have it for this price. Bam. So it just talked to 100 different people, hung up on 55, because 55 didn't even have the model in the first place, hung up on another 20, because the other 20 didn't have it in that color, right?
Yeah.
And then ended the call with another 20, right? Because their price was the highest. And it only kept the 5 that had it in stock within a 20-mile radius for the lowest prices. And it'll give you all the information you requested from it, right? Like, I just gave it a small, but you could have went into detail. Like, only let me know the ones that will do this or do that or offer this or offer that. But it makes all 100 of those calls simultaneously for you, and it now does the shopping for you.
Yeah. So now, same thing, but look at it with a different hat. Is exactly what we are doing in one of our companies. You know, remember I was telling you that we're starting to implementing in TG Consulting. We're literally going through that phase. The past 6 weeks, right before the Christmas break, just going through the back of the AI and putting up all these forms and all these questions to ask, so that when people are coming in and they're asking these questions, then we're leveraging it for booking. We're leveraging it to do pre-consultations for us to go ahead and move forward. So it's an exciting, but it's I don't want to say scary, but it's a little bit concerning. That's the word.
Yeah.
It's a little bit concerning. Not scary, but it's concerning as to what is it going to do to the average population. People that are working, that are doing all these things for somebody, technically, I could cut my cost in half.
Yeah.
I could come and do that probably in the next 2-3 months because it just takes fine tuning the tools.
Yeah.
The what do you call it? Manage?
The algorithm.
No, but you call it agent AI.
Oh yeah, the agent. Yeah,
AI.
yeah. Yep.
You know the name of it. But when you're saying is people don't comprehend what AI really is, we don't comprehend what AI really is. Can we learn to leverage it and use it? Yes, but at the exchange of what? Somebody's gonna have to get the short end of the stick for somebody to come in and implementing in their business.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
absolutely. I mean, there's definitely going to be a shift, and I think for me the part that's most concerning, which is where this conversation came from, which is again that most of us aren't aware of it, right? Yeah. I feel like AI is going to change a lot, and I feel like AI is mainly just going to cause a shift, right? But for the ones who are ready. See, for the ones who are not ready, the ones who are not informed, they're going to see it as destroying something, right? Like they're going to see it as something's being taken from them, right? Because they're not adapted
to a certain point.
To a certain extent, though.
It is.
To a certain extent. But I feel like if you just shifted with it, right, you can learn to use it, and then you just do things differently now.
Yeah.
You may not be able to do it the way you did before, which is, I believe, the toughest thing for people, which is change.
Yeah.
Right? Change is the toughest thing for people. Right? Like me in my business with the barbershop, one of the things that I've noticed has been one of the most difficult for me is implementing changes.
Okay.
Right? Implementing changes in the business. Because in my experience, that's where I get the most resistance. Right? Things change, and people are like, they just want to keep doing things the way they used to. Doing it. Whether it's working or not, right? But for them, since it's not their business, they may not see what's working, what's not working, right? But if a business owner, it's not working, it's something you change, right? It's something you do different. And having people jump on board with change, for me, I believe, has been one of the biggest challenges.
That is why leadership in a business is so important. Is sometimes when you want to try to implement a change, you up to a certain extent, you cannot go and ask for the change to take place. You have to make sure that the change is already taking place by you being the one that implements it. It's a leader leads not by words, but by actions.
By actions.
And honestly, and that is something that I've had to learn a lot with Leto Financial is, even though I have a group of individuals that I come and I counsel, is you always have to have counsel. And when you think about Proverbs, I'm going to bring it up right now. Many plans will fail for the lack of counsel, but plenty of them will succeed if you have the right counseling. You have to go and seek for the counsel, but at the end of the day, there has to be implementation. What good does it do me to come and ask you questions? Then you give me your advice, and then I don't go and I don't implement it. I do the same thing with the next person. I go and I ask for counsel, they give me the advice, and I don't implement it. One thing is you have to go and seek for the counsel, but at some point the leader has to be the one that takes the implementation, and that falls to you, the owner of the company. Because if you know that you will need to implement some changes, but yet your staff may not be wanting to go with it, you're going to have to do it. Doesn't mean you're going to be an asshole about it. I'm going to come and I'm going to tell you have to do all these things. It's like, look, I have a vision for the business, and I have identified these different changes. I've identified what I want to do. Is now you got to come in, you structure it for them to understand this is how this vision that I've identified is going to come into a reality or not, because you and I know it doesn't matter what you implement, that results may not be what you were looking for, but you at least have to implement them. Once you implement them, you let everybody else know, hey, this is how we're going to try things from now on. If you don't like it, come, let's talk about it. But at the end of the day, you are the one that has to make sure that those changes that you have already identified, that you've already structured, it's up to you to implement them. But hey, it's leadership at the end of the day. It's all what's on the top of the house, man.
I agree or align with everything you just said, right? Everything you just said. One of I know that's been a challenge for me in the past, right? It may still be a challenge for me now, which is something I'd like to get curious with you about, is I believe that one of the challenges that's the toughest is the letting go of people, right? Because there's sometimes, like you just said, right? You come in, you say, hey, and you lead, right? You show them your vision. You create the vision for them. And you say, look, this is the way that it needs to be done in order for this vision to really have a good possibility of working, right? And all of us are the moving pieces for that vision, right? If we don't move in this direction, that vision will either be much more difficult to be accomplished or just won't be accomplished.
Yeah.
Right? And so I get everything that you just said as far as how you really create it for your people so that they can kind of follow the vision, right? Now, when some of those people or one of those people just don't change. They don't want to, they get the vision and like they thank you for sharing it with them, right? But it's like, this is the way that I like to do things, right? And I'm going to give you resistance every chance I get. Right, because this is not the way I want to do it.
Right.
For you, is it easy to just say, okay, I'm so sorry, but this is just not going to work?
It's not that easy, see? But think about it with this analogy. You have a basket of apples or a basket of tomatoes. You got one that is rotten. What does it do to the rest of them? It's eventually going to spread. So it's not that a member of your team is going to come and spoil everybody else, but there's always going to be that risk. If you have everybody else who's willing to make the changes, and then you got that one who says no, well, what is the risk versus the reward? If you're going to look at it, let's get technical. Let's look at the numbers. How much revenue is this piece of equipment, or how much is this gentleman bringing into my business versus what is going to happen if he starts to spread negativity around what I'm trying to do. So now is there going to be two going against it? Because potentially the people that work in the shop, you're not there most of the time, but they are. So they are building a relationship amongst themselves. So they're going to talk about it. And if they start to talk about it to the point that when you're trying to implement the change that is going to be positive, or at least you're hoping that it's going to be a positive change. The only way to measure it, whether it's going to be positive or not, is by how? Implementing it, seeing what results you get from it. But if you don't even get the opportunity to get to the implementation stage because this person is spreading negativity against everybody else, now you got to deal with two. Now you got to deal with three. It's like, oh, okay, who's the one running the shop here? So that's when you really got to find out who is part of the team, who is going to build the vision. That you're not trying to build a vision to screw anybody over. If you're trying to build a vision, it's for everybody to benefit from it, correct? I will agree.
Absolutely.
So if you have one rotten apple, is it going to start to rotten everybody else around? And is it going to rotten the culture that you should be the one enforcing in the business? That's the way I see it. And I being at that point that I had to make decisions like that, and they're not easy. But at the end of the day, to me, it's like, God, I leave it in your hands. If this is what I'm supposed to do, give me the sign. Some way, somehow, he always tells. If you have a relationship with him, it's like you and I talking right now. He comes in and he shows you what you're supposed to do. And that person will be okay. You will be okay. And that happened 2 times recently, 2 times last year. And I'm so glad that I was able to execute the decision that he had put in my heart to do, because things have changed for the better. So if you don't have that heart to do it, just come and ask him, what do I do? But then if you're not sure if he's going to give you the answer, just remember, what does it do to my environment? Is it going to run everybody else around me? Absolutely. That's what I've done with my process of having to let go of people.
What I want to get curious about is the execution part. What I get from what you're saying is, and not to say that people are bad apples, right? But it's just the way that works. That's the way the model goes. One rotten apple, rottens the rest. Right? One rotten fruit, rottens the rest. And I absolutely get about how it works now, like what it looks like, which is when you're not there all the time, they definitely create a relationship amongst each other, which is what you want in a sense. You do want that. You definitely want them to create a relationship with each other, but that's the conduit that makes it so easy for good and bad to spread. Yeah. Right. And so if there's one person there that doesn't really see your vision, right, and doesn't really want to implement the things that you want to implement, then I believe that the answer to what you said, which is you got to outweigh reason over reward, right, is that you take the reward of that not spreading. Yeah. Right? Because
that is one of the rewards. Yeah. That is one of the rewards. That is one of them.
Yeah. But there's definitely more reward than reason in most of those situations, because the way I see it, no matter how much that person brings into your business, as long as your business doesn't fail because that person is gone, then that reason will never be bigger than the reward. Yeah. Right? It just never will, right? Yeah. And so understanding that, how do you execute that? If you communicated the vision, right, and you've had conversations with them and you've been in communication with them, right, a few times already, right, and they're just not there's just still resistance there, right? What are the following steps to have your communication actually land for that person?
So you're talking about the action of letting them go, or the action of implementing
the action of implementing when after a few times you just see they're either not getting it or there's still resistance with the implementation, right? So one, like, I guess, what is the final thing you do, right? What is the final thing you attempt, or what is the final thing you communicate before actually saying, all right, this is done? And if they don't follow it and you do let them go, how do you let them go? What does that look like?
So it depends on what is this person bringing into the table to execute the implementation. How much do I rely on you for my vision to take place? Joe, I need you to do this, and that. Oh, I don't know if I want to do it. This doesn't fall with my mindset. Mm-hmm. Okay, but do you understand what I'm asking you to do? And that depends now on your relationship with the people that are working with you. And now we're gonna get into legal contracts and what are they supposed to do versus they're not supposed to do. You put into their roles of what they're supposed to do for the company.
Is what you're requesting from them within the lines of what their role is within the business.
So that is one of them.
Yeah, got
it.
Okay,
I'm coming out to you, Joe. So this is my vision. Tony, I don't agree with your vision, okay? But this is what I need you to do, Joe, because this is still my vision and you're still working here with me. Well, Tony, I refuse to do it. Okay, well, now we got a problem. Mm-hmm. Okay, Tony, I'll try and I'll check it out. Let me try to do it. Well, first of all, it's not let me try. It's let's get to it. Let's work on it together. But if you're trying, I'm not going to hold you responsible for the results. I'm going to hold you responsible for implementing the strategy that we work together. And if you're not even given the opportunity to implement the strategy, now we're going to have an issue. Well, why didn't we get the result? It's not a problem. It's why didn't we even try to implement the strategy to see if we didn't get the result? Then we come to, I don't agree with it. Okay, this is where I'm going with the vision. If you're not going to get with it, you can either walk away, and then if you're going to walk away, then we got to do it all legally. We're going to have to write the resignation letter and all those things. Mm-hmm. But the first thing is, if somebody's not even willing to implement the strategies that you already identify, that's a problem.
Got it.
Honestly, why would you want to? You don't have to beg people to do the work, you know. But now, if I'm working with somebody who has an amazing vision, I'm like, dude, give me your insight, because now you're seeing something that I might be missing. Why is it that you don't want to implement it? I'll ask you. Well, I don't believe because this, and that. If there's some reason behind it, and if I agree with your vision, maybe, okay, let's work together at a different vision because maybe I'm missing something. So sometimes somebody not implementing it could be because they have a bigger vision. Let's just give them the benefit of the doubt. So what are you seeing that I'm not seeing? But if all you're doing is because you're throwing a tantrum and you don't want to do it, I'm like, okay, come on.
Yeah.
But if somebody has value to add, that is the one thing I tell people is, I don't want you to just do what I'm asking you, even though I just said that, is I want you to give me your feedback, whether it's the right thing to do or not. Let's still work on it. Let's still implement it, because an idea to implement is going to do something different than not doing anything at all. But if that person is willing to open up and give me their feedback and tell me, what about if we try this? Okay. Anybody who's willing to give you their 2 cents in how they would do things differently, that's an asset to the company. Not necessarily a rotten apple, but it's finding out the why. Why aren't you wanting to do the things that I'm trying to implement? That is the number one thing, is like, why? What is holding you back? Mm-hmm. And depending on what the reason is, then you gotta measure the relationship with this person too. Or where am I gonna go with this? I hope that answers some way the question.
Oh yeah, that definitely does. And I think for me, one of the biggest takeaways that I got from what you said, which I thought was huge, just because I don't believe that this is something that maybe a lot of people bring to their awareness when they're having these conversations, which I thought was fucking great. So thank you for that, by the way, is the getting curious with them, right? Mm-hmm. I think a lot of times we implement things, right? And
even though
we
podcast,
get curiosity. We implement things and we just want them to do it like our way, right? But we rarely go and say, okay, like it's, and for me, what hit me the most was what you said is, what if their vision is bigger than yours? Mm-hmm. That blew me away right now when you said that. When you said that, because usually I thought of like you can get their feedback or just see what they think, see why they're not doing it, right? But a lot of times I feel like when we get curious with people coming from that, why don't you want to do it? And then we start listening for why our way of doing it is the way we want to do it, and why like their way doesn't, like, I mean, we'll see, right? But I feel like if we could put the headphones on of, I'm going to ask this person why, right? What is the resistance? But I'm going to actually listen for, is there a bigger vision?
Is there a bigger vision in there that you are missing?
Right. And I feel like putting on those headphones of like just listening for what value you can create from what they say, rather than why they're not doing it.
Yeah. That's going to make a big difference in the business,
huge difference.
That's what helped us a lot with Leto. You know, we got the blessing that we have 8 different divisions. Within Leto Financial, there's 12 different sources of revenue. You talk about a business, it's a business that we don't just rely on one simple transaction. We have 12 ways to make money within Leto Financial. But within these 12 ways to make money, there's 8 division leaders. And the 8 division leaders came like this, is how do we do things differently? What are we missing? And that's when you start to put the vision from everybody combined. But the thing is having that asset, having that relationship with somebody who's willing to come and add value to your vision. Because then if I have a greater vision than you, then I'm just going to go on my own.
Yeah.
Why do I need to be with Joe? Why do I need to be with Leto? Who is, first of all, is you do something bigger with somebody else than doing it on your own. You can go out there and you can do it on your own, but why don't we try to do it together? Well, why do I have to do it under you? That's when egos come into place.
Absolutely.
Well, I want to do it under my own company. Like, well, that's when you realize, I can't hold this. I don't want to hold on to this person because they're better than I am. Go and do your own thing. Yep. But yet I know, because I've been doing this for the past decade, it's not going to be immediately. And I know it's going to be a roadmap ahead that you're going to have to go and you're going to have to follow. Now that's when you try to position the relationships like, well, why don't we just partner up? What we've done with the brand name recognition that we have for the past 10 years, when we come together and we start to build these subdivisions, with your knowledge, with our distribution channels, with the brand name that we've already built, well, that's when you hope that a new synergy comes in to have a new partnership. And then these partnerships, and then you just create a subdivision under a new entity in which there's 50-50 partnership, 70-30 partnership. That's you really start to get, you start to structure the business differently.
Yeah.
That's the fun part.
Yeah. So, and I just want, now that we're getting into this conversation, right? This is, for me, one of my biggest curiosities for getting you on this podcast was to kind of pick your brain as in the business world, in the entrepreneurship world, right? But before I do that, this conversation has been so fucking awesome. I haven't even had the opportunity to introduce you yet. So with that said, I do want to get you introduced.
Go for it.
Alrighty, guys. So I have it written down right here because I really want to make sure I get everything down for Antonio. He's got a lot going on when it comes to people having a lot and going on and having a big life. I'm super excited to have Antonio here with me. So my next guest is a Mexican-American entrepreneur who immigrated from Guadalajara at the age of 12. At the age of 12, before the age of 12, he was actually diagnosed by a doctor as not going to live past 12. So he's defied the odds of that and has now built a successful life. He's a founder of Leto Financial and Insurance Services since 2016, with over $2.2 million in compensations paid out. In the last 3 years, he's coached and mentored business owners, helping them build self-sustaining businesses with proven strategies. He's the founder of TG Consulting, helping operators step into the CEO role and gain clarity for growth. He's also the co-founder of Mixing Knowledge B2B in Riverside, California, which is a community where CEOs connect, share knowledge, and grow together. His mission is to empower business owners to create systems and operations for long-term success. I'd like to introduce my next guest, Tony Gutierrez.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Thank you for the invite.
Man.
Thank you for having me here. It's already been exciting for the past hour.
Yeah.
To just talk to you.
We've already been
talking for a while,
chatting it up for a while, man. And that's, for me, that really is why I do this podcast, right? Like, this podcast is really, it's really done for me to be able to build create the opportunities to have great conversations with other human beings, right? Because, and one of the things we were just talking about before the introduction, right, was like partnerships, right? Like connecting with others, growing with others, really building a team of people, consulting, right? Like your counsel, right? You were saying about like, if you try to do it all on your own, good luck. But if you have a good counsel with you, then you have that opportunity to really succeed.
And the funny thing is, you may bring this up, you're talking about counsel. There's 2 ways to look at counsel for me. One of them, there's the dictionary definition, which I don't remember that one. But then when you start to really look at the book of knowledge, the Bible, basic instructions before leaving earth, that is where I get a lot of this. A lot of my guidance comes from there, and it talks about it. It's right there. You need to surround yourself with people to get counsel, to make sure that your plans that you have in mind, they're going to be able to succeed. And a lot of people, they don't see it like that because they thought about the book, about the Bible, about a religious point, But if you just simply open up the book and let the curiosity come in, well, what is this book about? Dude, there's so much gold in there. Just like I read so many books. I've read a few books, but the book that I've been stuck reading for the past 1.5, 2 years has been the Bible. There's so much gold in there, dude. Oh. I had to bring that up.
No, and that's that. I've always, I guess you could say, let me see, I don't know if I could tell you I'm like a religious person, right? Like I do believe in God, right? I love going to church on Sundays with my mom, and when we can't attend, it's so fucking dope that now they like air it live on YouTube, right? So like we can, like, no matter what, like we catch our Sunday mass. I love listening to the word, right? Because I feel like through communications courses and things like that, I've been able to figure out ways to extract value from it, regardless of what my opinions are on anything, right? Like every Sunday mass that I went to, I feel like I've been able to relate it to something going on in my life. Yeah. That I've been able to get some sort of value from it on, like something to implement in my life, or something to do different, or a conversation to go have with someone that I haven't, I've been avoiding a conversation to have, or a way of seeing myself or perceiving myself that now I can see a little different because the passage really showed me something like that, right? So I do truly believe that a book like the Bible, right, regardless of what your view is on religion, if you're really just listening to what can you hear for yourself that relates to your life, and if you're like looking for answers, what would an answer look like? Yeah, right. I really do believe that it's powerful in that way.
It's packed with wisdom, dude. Honestly, that book has so much wisdom in there, and all it takes is for us to take down the veil of what we're being indoctrinated with for such a long time. They've been teaching us for such a long time. You don't talk politics, you don't talk religion. Okay, well, let's not talk religion. Let's talk God. Let's talk our relationship with Him. To me, it's Jesus. It's Jesus Christ. Get to build a relationship with Him, despite of whatever you might think, and pick up the book. Just read it. You'll be shocked. That's how I came to it. It was before my dad was it was 6-9 months before my dad was diagnosed with cancer. That my curiosity to trying to find out, well, what is it to really know God? What is it to really know Jesus? Because I would always say, I don't need to go to church. I grew up as Catholic. And then I stepped away from the church life for a long time. I would tell my wife, I don't need to go to church. I don't need to go talk to a man, tell me certain things when that person is probably worse than I am. And I would always say to myself, as long as I'm acting righteously, as long as I'm being kind to people, that's okay. It wasn't the case. But then 9 months before my dad was diagnosed, I don't know where I just get the urge to find out more about God. And that's when I bought my first Bible. And I'm starting to read the Bible. I'm at the house. This is during COVID at that point. And I remember one time my dad calls. He's like, hey, this is it, guys. I got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. But funny, I already knew that something was going to change. Something big was coming in my life. And these are things that I didn't know on my own, but it simply came as like, get to know me. Come closer to me. Because you're going to have 2 ways to get through this change. I don't know if have you lost somebody in your life already?
Me?
Yeah.
I've lost a couple people, but nobody in my immediate family, right? I still have my parents. I don't think I've had the experience of a grandparent dying also, right?
So when you experience a loss like that, like losing a parent or a grandparent, somebody really close, you're going to come to a fork. And you're going to have 2 roads that you can go with it. You can either go through the grief on your own, or you can go through the grief knowing or trusting that there's something greater than that, and that is God, that is life after life. And when you grab to the right side, when you want to grab to life, to Jesus, it makes the grieving process so much easier. That was through me. And maybe throughout this conversation on the podcast, I'll get to share the story that I experienced with Stephen before my dad actually passed away. But that we're talking about it, might as well do it right now.
Yeah, you might as well do it right now.
So there was one night after my dad went through his battle of cancer, with cancer for about maybe 13, 14 months. We get to the point that, okay, he's already in hospice. If somebody has lost anybody, but you're in hospice, the time is getting closer. So I remember when we get to that point, it was the whole family came back together, first and foremost. And when I say the whole family, is my brother and my mom. When we grew up, like right now, we have our daughters and we have our kids. We all live under the same household. and then everybody gets married. They go and they start to to live their own life. So when we get to this point that my dad is in hospice, boom, all the family gets back together under the same roof, living with my brother, with my mom.
You guys all moved back? Like you guys were
for
living,
about a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Oh, week and okay.
The process of his process of being in hospice. So it was like being kids, all of us being in the same household. My dad, my mom, and my brother. It's like, man, we hadn't experienced that for a long time since my brother got married and then I moved out. But there was one specific night. My cousin Steven, who you already know, he was also in your podcast. There was one night he was leaving, and they live in Azusa. So the apartment is upstairs over the garage. So I remember looking at Steven downwards from the stairs, and I'm looking at him, and we're just saying bye. And then all of a sudden, dude, we start to get this amount of energy. I have the pictures here. I'll show you. Yeah. So I start to get all this energy in my body. But then the funny thing here is it wasn't just me feeling all this energy. It was Steven feeling it as well. Hold on, where is this picture at? So that you can see. Okay, boom.
And I want to make sure we get these pictures up on the...
Yeah, I'll send them to you so that you can share them with everyone.
Fellas, let's be real. Your hair deserves better than a last-minute YouTube tutorial and your mom's kitchen scissors. That's where the original Clip Joint Barbershop comes in. Located in Covina, San Dimas, and now your pocket. Yep, we just launched our very own app for both Apple and Android, and booking an appointment is now easier than swiping left on your ex. No calls, no waiting, just fresh cuts, crisp fades, and a barbershop experience that actually feels like home. Visit us at the original Clip Joint Barbershop today, because a bad haircut hurts more than a bad relationship.
Everybody.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm talking about. So I'm up here. Steven is down here, okay? So I'm looking at Steven. We're saying bye. All of a sudden, I get this amount of energy that just goes through my body, dude. It's like a train that just rushes through my body. And then suddenly I see Steven moving his hands like this, and I'm asking him, dude, are you feeling it too? He's like, dude, I'm feeling it. The minute we both acknowledged that we were feeling the same energy, just magnified. It just stronger, like 10 times the energy rushing through our body. He felt the same thing. So I asked him, dude, are you feeling this rush? He's like, dude, I'm feeling it. So from there, he goes on his own thing. I come inside the living room. We'll send them the pictures too.
Yeah.
So now we're in this living room, okay? So I'm sitting here. Let me see. Put it right here so they can see where I'm trying to point out. I'm sitting on this chair. My cousin Erica is sitting right here, and my brother Rafa is sitting on this chair. And my dad is down the hall in a room down here. So I'm sitting here, and I'm looking this way. I'm wondering, like, what was that? What did I just experience? Because it wasn't just me. It was him too. It was both of us. So I'm sitting there. I'm listening to my brother and my cousin talk. I'm not lying to you, Joe. Suddenly, I'm no longer in there with them. I'm in a completely different environment. I'm on this side of the street. There's all of a sudden there's a big old street. I'm on this side. On this side of the street, there's a huge wall of river rock, the nice round river rock. Have you ever seen it?
Yeah.
And then there's a tunnel. And in front of the tunnel, there was my dad. Okay? And there was just one light bulb lining the whole street. So I'm looking at my dad and I'm talking to him like, Dad, are you seeing this? Like, yeah, I'm seeing it. No. So I tell him, Dad, is that you? He tells me, yeah, that's me. And I ask him, well, this is how you're going to transition. He says, yeah. And then he asked me, are you my son? I'm like, yeah, I'm your younger son. When my wife Wendy and I had our first daughter Jade, it was our life, all three of us together now, a new timeline. And then we had Hazel. It was a new timeline. So when my dad was looking at me, to me it was before he had me, but he already had my brother. So we're just looking at each other knowing like everything's gonna be okay. So suddenly I'm back. I'm back in this chair, but now I'm like, okay, what the fuck?
Wait,
like,
so just I want to make sure I get this.
Okay.
Like you're sitting there.
Yeah, I'm physically sitting in this chair.
And then like it's almost like you like an instant like
just like that something happened. I'm no longer in that chair. I'm in another life.
And your whole experience, like your whole like everything was like it was real at that moment.
You'll see how real it is right now. So I'm here. I'm shocked. I'm wondering what the fuck was that? First the energy. Now I had this whole experience. What do? I get out of the chair. I walk down the hallway. I walk in here, and then all of a sudden, I'm in the bedroom with my dad. This is the bedroom.
That's the bedroom.
Here, you can show them, and then I'll send them to you anyways. So that is the bedroom right there. So my dad's bed was facing, his head was facing this way, and his body was facing this way. I sit on the edge of the bed, and I sit down, and my dad just goes like this, and he says, ¿Qué hubo? First thing that came out of my mouth, le dije, ¿Viste eso? Did you see that? I'm wondering, he's going to tell me, did I see what? Like, what are you talking about? Because my dad he was still conscious at this point. He tells me, yeah, see, I saw that. Okay, I asked him, where are you right now? He tells me, I'm in both sides. Okay. Then I ask him, who's there? He says, everybody. Okay. I ask him, when are you leaving? He says, not yet. They can't wait for me. They can't. I still got time here. That's when I realized is coming to the conversation is when you lose somebody, you get to go through that grief either by yourself or you get to go with it with God. And I had the blessing to talk to my dad. He saw the same thing I saw, which is the afterlife. There is a life after this one that if we continue to do what pleases us. For 3.5 years, I battled with porn addiction. For 3-4 years, I battled with marijuana abuse. I lived a completely different lifestyle. I used to play music. I used to do cocaine. I used to do shrooms. I used to play at the House of Blues. I used to play at the BB King's. A complete different lifestyle than what I have now, thanks to God. But my point with this is there is another life. And when you understand that when we give our life the pleasure that we're looking for, getting the high, getting the addiction from multiple sexual relationships, partners, it's like you are giving this life what you shouldn't be given, because there will be a next life. But to me, it's like I had the experience and the blessing to experience that with my dad before he left. And ever since, that's take you back 18 months or 14 months, my curiosity to find out who God really was. Like, let me buy this first book. Everything that I've gone through ever since has been the blessing to coming and implementing in my business. The gift of clarity to be able to identify what things I need to change in the business, to be able to see it from the outside looking in, seeing my life from the outside looking in, not just seeing it from the inside, is what pleases me, what pleases me, what pleases me. That is something that I've had the blessing to experience, and I've experienced it with Steven. If you see him again, ask him, hey, did you really felt this with Tony? Like, was this really legit? Like, you will see it. But kind of lost track where I was going with this part of the conversation.
Well, this is why we're here.
But this is why we're here, right? It's curiosity.
This is why we're here.
Curiosity.
For one, thank you for sharing all that, right? Like, I definitely get that, especially as men, right? There's a certain level of vulnerability that I feel we lack or we resist, right? And so thank you for sharing your story, right, about your pops. And, thank you for being vulnerable about you and your experiences. There's something that you said, though, that had something come up for me that I don't know if I've ever had a conversation out loud about. But you said, if we're giving our pleasures, we're giving our attention, we're giving ourselves to this life here, right? But there's also another life next, right? My question is for you, or at least the way you see it, what does this life have to do with the next one?
For everything. It's our actions that we do here that either going to give us the space on the next life or not. Honestly, people think that God is a forgiving God. Jesus is a forgiving Jesus. He forgave the thief on the cross. He forgave the prostitute. He forgot a lot of people. But there's some rules that we got to live by. We cannot just come in here and raise habit, be somebody who's constantly just seeking about his own pleasure. And if you don't get to the point that you get baptized, to me, is when you get baptized, you come out of the water, you forget the past. I was able to accept this forgiveness, but that doesn't mean I keep on doing the fuck ups that I used to make. It's like me coming telling you, hey, Joe, I'm never going to steal from you again. Come hire me again. Oh, Joe, I'm never going to come and do this to you again. Okay, here, you're going to keep on forgiving me. But then I keep on doing the same shit over and over and over and over. Well, would you allow me at some point to come to your house and break bread with your family and spend time with them when you've seen how much shit I've done to you? It's the same thing here. It's like he's always going to give us opportunities, but when are we really ready to let that go? Because if we're not ready to let that go, is at the time, to me, is that I've seen a lot more than what I just shared with you. Is I know that the next life when it comes is, yes, I have accepted his forgiveness, and I know that he has paid the price, but I also know that I got to do the right thing in this life, and it's more than just running a successful business thanks to him. It's about this. It's about spreading his word. I'm not a pastor, but I love talking about him. Every chance I get, I love to talk about him. And to me, it's one of my wish is that I get to be a disciple and a fisherman of souls. What does that mean? It's like, let me just tell you how I got to find Jesus. But let me tell you that when you find him, you stop doing all those things. All those things that have hold you back. You no longer make those actions. You let go of the pleasures of the flesh. And why is it important? Is because that is what's going to ensure us to come in and see what I saw with my dad.
So for you, what does that afterlife, right? That life after look like when you've let go of those pleasures, right? When you've done the best you can to follow, right? And what does it look like when you passed away, still getting the pleasures of the flesh?
So my first, let's focus on the life in this life, because I'm still living this life.
Of course.
So
of course.
I was able to let go of the pleasures of the flesh. I used to be angry at my wife if we didn't have intimacy. I used to be rage, dude. It's like, how? Dude, it's not about that anymore. When we had the blessing to be together, awesome. We enjoyed the moment. But I'm no longer angry. I'm no longer out there letting the fact that I was not intimate with my spouse affect the rest of my day. To the point that I'm out there working and I'm not focusing on work because I'm thinking about, maybe I should be trying to knock on a couple of other doors. That person completely died. Is that person that I used to look for the high, just to be able to find that peace.
Yeah.
And how to quiet all the noise down. I haven't smoked. I don't need to do it anymore. Have I stopped smoking completely? Last year, I smoked 4 times, the whole entire year. When I'm telling you, I used to smoke pretty much 365 days.
Yeah.
Three
times a day.
Three times a day. So 365 times 3, that's way too much.
Yeah.
But it's how it has me accepted to come to God, to come to Jesus, how I've seen the immediate results in this life. Because there's so much shit that is going on between the 3 businesses. Last year, Leto Financial, we went through a very tough year. I don't know if you're aware of that, but the insurance industry in California is...
Yeah,
it's a shit show.
I got let go from my insurance, and I was like, "What?" I made every single payment, but then they couldn't cover me anymore. I had to get another insurance that was even more expensive now.
Yeah. So this whole insurance industry right now is run by people that don't understand both sides of the equation because they want to be reelected. Which this is the last term for that particular person. When you see it from the businesses, all of those policies that were canceled, this is money that we lost. Because we have nowhere else. We only get paid even the sale of a new policy or the renewal of a policy. Okay, so when that happens, it's like, shit, we lost income. Last year, we lost about $200,000. But yet my expenses are still the same.
Yeah.
So $200,000 for a company that we're still a small company, we're still a small business, it makes a dent. So last year, it hurt a lot to the point that I had to use some credit lines. But that's stress right there.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, the stress of the new company, all of the things about learning the AI, what we were just talking about, learning how we're going to set up the courses, learning the coaching community, learning how people are going to get access to all of this information that we have, plus learning, putting all these packages together. That is one thing. And then on top of that, putting together everything with mixing knowledge. It's 3 different companies, 3 different blessings, dealing with them at the same time. And then on top of that, I'm still a father. I'm still a husband. I still got to learn to give them time. So it's how do I go from finding my relationship with God help me to go from a tornado, trying to find out the places to focus on at a time, to bring in the structure. I also like to say is putting on the CEO hat is becoming very structured in my life. But despite of all the mess that I'm still going internal and personal that I'm not talking about, I have so much peace, dude. Is I know everything's gonna be okay. I know it's happening for a reason versus like, fuck, why is this happening to me? Why would this happen to me? Why did I do this? I'm like, no, it's like, cool. Like, I'm at peace. I'm grateful that these things are happening because if you ask for wisdom, there's only one way to get it. How is that? Going through trials and tribulations. It's going through the shit that you are going through. But yet people don't see it that way. So my relationship with him has allowed me to see it on a bigger scale. Like, wait a second. There's something big coming. I'm learning how to get through a situation like this. So therefore, for the next 10 years of my career are going to be better because I've already gone through it. And you hear this all the time. Other entrepreneurs have always said, big business owners, big shot callers, I've been broke before, but it's only that's the only way to learn how to take care of what he's going to bless us with. So kind of bringing it back down to your question, how has my relationship helped me in this life? I'm a completely different person.
Yeah.
100%. How do I how do I foresee my next life coming after I'm done here, knowing that I know God, knowing that I know Jesus? It's just being with Him, being able to serve Him. I don't think a lot of people realizes that when you own a business, is you're here to serve.
Mm-hmm.
You're here to serve all the people that are coming to your chairs. You're here to serve all the people that are trusting you to come and do the cut for these persons. But when you run a business, you are serving others. But sometimes people have it twisted. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, I'm gonna make this business because I want to fucking fill out my pockets. To me, my biggest flex is how much we paid in commissions, and we continue to put that money out there. It's not my flex. It's not how much money I get to take home, mm-hmm. but then I get to serve. Okay, what do I look for when I'm gone is continue to serve. How? I don't know. Obviously, I cannot advocate for that, but I can tell you continue to serve.
Yeah.
Versus trying to do everything for yourself. I've learned that is I'm building this business because I want to serve. I want to have the opportunity to talk to somebody else. Now, if I didn't know Jesus, I can tell you, brother, I've seen the devil. I've been with the devil. I've been in situations that I know he's present, that just like I believe Jesus, I know this motherfucker is real too.
Yeah.
You know, that's just the plain truth. And for all of you guys that are still listening to this podcast and you haven't logged out because we're talking about this, just stick around. Yeah. You'll enjoy it. Yeah. Trust me, man. There is, I don't want to know what life would be like if I didn't get to know him the way I know him now. I don't even want to give it a thought. I really don't. But I was scared of shit to live a life, the afterlife without him. No, that's all I can say.
Well, I do have more questions about that.
Go for it,
man. One of the things, man, that I want to touch on that I thought was amazing is the way that you articulated about when you have a business, you serve for others. And I'm so glad that you said that, man, because one of the conversations that, not even a conversation, but one of the things that I've expressed to my barbers, right? Mm-hmm. For me, one of my missions with having a barbershop is to create other barbershops. I don't mean to partner up in other barbershops, but what I want to do is I want to provide a space. I want to create an environment, right? And I want to create a relationship with my barbers where they can learn how to run a barbershop, where they can learn how to communicate with their barbers so that they can learn how to encourage them to do their own thing.
Okay.
Right? That's one of my biggest missions. I've been super blessed that there's been about 9 barbershops that have came from barbers that have worked at my barbershop.
Okay, so you're being consulting.
They went out. I mean, for the beginning of it, right? But I mean, while they're there, I guess you could say I'm consulting while they're there, right? But I was blessed enough to help a couple of them negotiate their lease, right? Like when they went on to go get their other shop. Before they opened up their other shop, I had the pleasure of sitting with most of them and actually creating the outline, like how many chairs do you want? How many TVs? How much this? How much that? How much this? And really like, this is how much you're going to have to save up.
Did you charge for any of this?
No. Okay. No, I didn't charge for any of those services or for any of those conversations. I guess I was just looking at them as conversations.
No, that's good.
Structuring it out for them and have them move on to like one barber came to me a year before he wanted to open up a shop. A year before he opened up a shop, we sat down at a 399 Pizza Co. That's right next to my shop in Covina. And I asked him, how many chairs, how many TVs, there's how many mats, there's how many mirrors. Are you going to want a camera system? Are you going to want this? Are you going to want to put flooring, paint, right? First month's rent, deposit, right? Like all of these things. Okay, this is your dollar amount, right? If you want to save it up all yourself without getting any business loans and you want to do it in a year, this is how much you have to put in an envelope every day.
Okay.
Right? Without missing. Right? But it's guaranteed. If you put this much in an envelope every day for the next year, it's guaranteed that as long as you don't touch it, right? You could have your fucking eyes closed. And if you don't touch it and nobody steals it,
you have the money
365 days from now.
How much was it?
I think at that point it was close to like 30 grand.
Okay.
Yeah. This was like 2019.
Okay.
This was 2019. Right?
So 30
back
grand
then
to
it was
open
like
up a shop.
30 grand to open up a shop that had everything that he kind of wanted to start.
Cool.
Right, to begin with. And sure enough, a year later, he was ready. He didn't open it up for a year and 3 months later, but it wasn't because he wasn't ready at the year. Right? And this guy fucking busted ass. For a year, he was there 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., 5-6 days a week.
At your shop working.
At my shop working, because he was he was like
He had a
adamant
mission.
that he had that
He
vision.
had identified, and he had a way.
Yep,
He had
and
a structure.
he had the structure now.
Yeah.
Like, so he was getting that money in that envelope, 5 days a week, no matter what, right? And so I give him major credit for it's Ish. His name is Ismael. He has Gifted Barber Studios in Glendora, so shout out to Ish. If you're in the Glendora area, go visit Ish. He's super dope. But yeah, him, and he fucking busted his ass, man. And in a year he was ready.
Okay.
So a year in, he started looking for a place. It took him about 3-4 months to find his place, right? But yeah, for me that's been like one of my biggest like excitements, right? One of my missions is to have barbers that come through my shop see that vision, and actually go out and execute and get that vision, right? And so one of the things that I tell my barbers is, I don't just want you to open up your own shop because I want you to make more money. Right? Or because I want you to have financial freedom so that you don't have to be behind the chair in order to make an income.
Right.
Although those are things that are part of it, right? Those are definitely like considerations I have for wanting to encourage you to go that direction. But for me, the main one is that if you open up a shop, not a studio, right? Not a solo salon, not renting a chair in somebody else's shop. Like if you go and you open up your own barber shop, where you create the opportunity for other barbers, for me, that's my biggest vision for encouraging my barbers to open up a shop, that they're going to create a space to do the same thing for others.
And you got one is has follow the instructions to the T, and now he's running it.
Oh, yeah.
So the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah. He's super busy. He has all of his chairs filled, and he runs a great shop over there.
Cool.
Right, and it's been that way for multiple barbers that have opened up a shop after working at the clip joint. But yeah, again, I love that you said that, because for me that's been one of my biggest missions, or whatever you can say, to have other barbers open up their own shop.
If you don't mind, that's how JoeCee Consulting came to be, because that's what I had been doing myself for the past 3 years, helping other business owners structure, mentor them, and coach them as to what they got to do with it. What does the business need to continue to grow? Now, what does the owner want for the business to grow? It's two different perspectives. It's to look at it from what the business is really going to need, what systems are they going to need, whether it's going to be on the legal aspect, whether it's going to be marketing strategies, whether it's going to be AI implementation, whether it's going to be tax saving strategies. Because a lot of people, they think that their only way to make money is by making more sales. You can also make a shitload of money on saving money in taxes when you understand the tax code and you understand what systems you can utilize. But what I realized after doing that for 2.5, 3 years for free, it's like I cannot keep on continuing to give in my time, because it's like you get embedded with the project. Like you take it as if it was your own baby, to help somebody else how to put it together, and then it's exciting to see that the person is doing the work, but yet you're still part of it. So to me, it's like I got to the point that I had to start to collect some money for my time to put it into it. And that's what gave the spin-off and the birth to JoeCee Consulting. And now it's all the knowledge that you being able to put together to help somebody else is like I need to create some wealth as well for my family, yet I'm still serving. Doesn't mean I'm becoming multimillionaire with these services, but yet it's like if you're able to coach and help somebody else how to do something different, and if you're not asking for equity in the deal, then that might be something you could consider to create a program in which you could charge for, because that is part of your time. That still takes your time. And even though you're still serving somebody, there is nothing. You see so many coaching platforms out there, so many mentors. That's what they do. I'm just bringing that up right now, and probably some people will not like that I'm telling you, but that is something that you could eventually collect revenue from, because when I work with somebody from the business coaching side, there's 17 points that I look with. And this takes a lot of time, just like it takes you time to help somebody else in. So that could be another way that you start to create a different company. Coaching somebody else to do the same thing, which you probably have thought about it. You're a smart guy. But whether you want to do it or not, that's different.
A different story.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm glad that you brought that up, because it is something I've thought about before. And I feel like one of my, I don't want to say challenges, right? But one of the things that I feel I just haven't created for myself yet is that looking for like surrounding myself with people like that, like surrounding myself with more people like you, right? But not just meeting you and recording a podcast and then, like, have a nice day,
building
right?
a relationship,
but actually like building a relationship with people that I can have these conversations with, right? Because even though I have thought about doing consulting, I've been challenged by the thought of like, I wouldn't even know where to start on creating a structure that I could then, build a formula out of and then start, right? And then even how to distribute it, right? How to go out and distribute it, right? So I do believe that there's so many people that do have that knowledge, like yourself, maybe on how to do something like that. I just haven't surrounded myself yet with those people that I can get their counsel and actually structure something out like that.
With technology, I mean, different ways. Your high pricing ticket is the ones that you get involved, where they need your time. But then you can also create different coaching step 1, 2, and 3. You record them, you put them into a system, you charge a monthly fee, you host a monthly or a weekly meeting with all these people that are part of your membership. Dude, there's so many ways.
Is that something you do now? Is that
we're putting it after 3 years of doing it for free. After 3 years, we started to put this new platform together in December. And this is where I partnering up, getting the right people. Wade Good from Team Good Media. Shout out to you, Wade. He's the one that understands how to put all these coaching platforms in his system and the CRM that he already has. But he already has about 127,000 subscribers on his YouTube.
Wow.
So he's already done that.
Yeah.
So see, it's like, I know I got the knowledge. How do I package it together to be able to make a product that I can go out there and sell? It's like, now I've been learning all these different ways to do it. But it does take somebody who has already done it to kind of just show you, okay, do this, and that. And that's exactly what I'm doing with them. So yeah, that's hopefully we'll be ready to launch that officially by the end of the first quarter. The coaching and comes along with the mixing knowledge. Now you start to really think about, how do I monetize my knowledge? How do I monetize what I know, what I've learned? So going back to Leto, 12 different ways to generate revenue. Memberships, overrides, sales of policies. Okay, that's very transactional. But how do you monetize your knowledge? That is different. How do you package it? But the cool thing is there's so many systems that you can already utilize to put your package of information there. And all you got to do is what you're doing right now. A great way to build relationships is what you're doing with the podcast. Because now you get the opportunity to have somebody sitting across the table with you, which you get to ask questions. Now it's up to you how deep you want to take that relationship. But that is something that you should really at least put some thought behind it.
Yeah, and I definitely do. And you'll past this podcast, I'm sure you'll be getting a phone call from me wanting to get a little bit more knowledge on how to do that, right? Because that is one thing I felt has been missing for me, which is really working, like putting in the work to create those relationships, right? Like I feel like I have a great relationship with my wife right now, with my kids, right? Like most of my time I feel goes to that. Right. Every now and then I go and I shoot the shit with a couple friends, right? But I feel like most of my time goes to like my immediate family and work, right? And so for me, I feel like it's about creating different ways to not take away from work, to not take away from family, but really still be in communication with work and family to also create a space in my life to create these kinds of relationships.
So you don't take away time from work. It's just simply part of your work. Because what I'm doing, it's just like when you decided to open up your barbershop, at some point you probably had a job until you were able to stop your job to dedicate your time 100% to the barbershop. So the way I see this is Leto Financial is funding the opportunity for me to dedicate my time to create the coaching community, to create the mixing knowledge community, the seminars. It's not like I'm quitting on Leto, but it's just simply I'm allowing to use of my time for Leto is I'm reallocating it into these new 2 sources of eventually they will become revenue. And they already are, but it's just, you have to, the time, if you're spending 12 hours at the office, then from those 12 hours, maybe 4 hours are going to be allocated exclusively just to work on creating the platform or creating the coaching seminars or all of these things that you got to do. Just like right now, we're doing the podcast. You're taking time out of your day. Is you simply allocate time into a different endeavor. And then that's how you start to work on it. Is you're not gonna go and you're gonna quit your job. You're not gonna go and cut time away from your family. It's just use the time that you've already had. Maybe you start your day a little earlier now.
Yeah.
If you're getting up at 5, maybe you get up at 4. You know, so
getting up for me is always the hardest one. But yeah,
I
get it.
I
definitely get it.
I think for all of us.
Yeah.
But that's just the way you should see it. It's like, how do I find, like, just use the time that you already have. If that's what you really, if it's in your heart to at some point do it, just book out 1 hour a day. Just to simply, what the fuck do I do? How do you start to work the gift of clarity? You identify what you want to do which is at some point clear a coaching platform. Within that hour, work on identifying how would this happen, or doing your research. What would it take to build this community? If you know people, then you're gonna make that process a lot faster, because you're gonna be able to ask questions instead of doing the research on your own. So identify 1 hour and a half to figure out, how do I structure this? Okay, the next thing is structure the steps. Identify and then visualize. That is very important, is to be able to see it. How would it look like? I've seen myself speaking on stage, and I've done that a few times. I've seen myself, how I wanted to dress myself, because it's how I want people to perceive me, is you have to visualize what you're trying to do with this new relationship of work. Whatever you've identified, you have to see it. Once you see it, then you work at it backwards. You structure the steps. Same thing you did with, Isaac?
With what?
What's the name of the guy that opened up the barbershop? Ismail.
Ish.
So you help him identify what he had to do to make that happen. You help him visualize. Well, I want 6 chairs. I want this. Like, in your mind, you've already seen the shop before it even took place. You structure the steps to make that happen. And then once you structure the steps, you execute. And once you execute, you remain intentional, because there's a lot of things that are going to happen. Same thing. Do it for yourself. Identify, visualize, structure, execute, and remain intentional. What happens? This is the gift of clarity. Mm-hmm. What is the gift of clarity? It's being able to see what you're trying to do with your life. Seeing it from the outside looking in. Seeing what it might look like, but understanding that it may not be the result that you are looking for. It might be different. And continue to execute, identify it, and doing it all over again until you get the result that you are looking for. That's why a lot of people fail. That's why a lot of entrepreneurs exit the game, because they don't have the ability to do it over and over and over and over and over again. But that goes to you too. And who gives you the gift of clarity?
God.
You know the answer. He gives you the gift of clarity, which that's another story. How did I realize that he had given me the gift of clarity after my dad passed away? I'm going to bring it back. We used to live in Chino Hills at this time, and I remember taking my dog out for a walk to do his business. And I'm literally just walking, and I'm taking the dog, and I'm just asking, I'm like, how have I gotten this far? How have we been able to achieve what we have, which is a blessing? Boom! I just saw it the way I described it to you. I was able to see everything so clear that I understood, wow, it's been so clear. You've been guiding me through all these steps, but I can see it from the outside. It's like the way God sees me, how he uses me, he's pushing me in different places, knowing where I'm going, is I've been able to see my life like that. Every decision, every execution that I've taken, every execution that I've never taken, I've been able to see it from the outside looking in. That's when I realized, thank you, you're giving me the gift of clarity. When I don't even know how I said these words. That's how great he is. Sometimes you baffle yourself when it's not you, it's him telling you. But then in our human nature, we think that some people get to think like, oh, I am the shit, I know everything. I'm like, no, dude, it's him. In humbleness. But that's, to me, is how I realized that I had the gift of clarity, because I was able to see everything from the outside looking in. And that's how I'm able to kind of go through this life. It's like, okay, wait a second. Let me get in my head and let me identify, let me structure, let me play this game. Okay, I figured out a plan. Let's do it. Oh, shit, that's not what I was looking for. Oh, wow, that was exactly the result I was looking for. But then you do it again and you do it again, and that's how you get through life. And
so one of the things that comes up for me as you're saying what you're saying, and you can, this is going to come in the form of a question afterwards, is, for me, everything you're saying, right? Maybe not word for word, but the structure the formula you just created, right? Which I wrote it down, by the way, because I did see it in a lot of your social media. It's identify, visualize, structure, execute, and intentional. Like remain intentional, right? So in some way, shape, or form, in some way or another, I've heard that already. Yeah. I've been aware of the visualize, work backwards. I've been aware of the creating a structure, right? Like you're trying to get somewhere, and all you have is an address but no map. It's going to be very difficult to get to that goal, right? If there's no map, there's no nothing, right? So to some extent, I feel like I've been aware of all of those things, right? What do you think is what do you think makes the difference, right? And it could be counsel, it could be whatever, right? But what do you think is really the thing that makes the difference, that takes you from knowing what it takes and actually going out and acting on what it takes?
Being aware of it. Being aware of it. Do you get what I'm saying? When you are aware of what it takes to do what you're supposed to do, you go and you do it. When you're not aware of it, you're just going through life and you're just getting the results. Like, oh shit, it's happening. But when you take a step out and you see your life from the outside looking in, you become aware of what you are capable to do because you have the gift of clarity.
Yeah.
So
and I get that. I absolutely get that, right? Like, I feel like once you get that gift of clarity, like then it's easy. But let me put it to you this way.
Okay.
Right? Someone has the desire to be healthy and fit, right? But in this moment is a little unhealthy and not fit, right? Like, they have that desire. They truly have that desire. And they are aware that eating healthy and working out will get them closer to the results that it is that they want.
Okay.
Right? So, again, you have a desire, right? And you're aware of what it takes to reach where you want to go, yet you remain unhealthy and you remain unfit. For someone, what is really, right? You're obviously clear that, it's clear to you that if you don't get healthy, you're going to fucking die soon, right? If you don't get fit, right? Like, you're not going to get a lot of the things that you maybe want, and you're whatever, right? Like, you're aware of all of those things.
Right.
And you're aware of the consequences.
Right.
Right. But it's like, what takes you from just being aware of it to actually executing and becoming healthy?
To me, there's nothing, the worst quality that any human being can have is knowing what you have to do to change your life and not doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is the worst quality.
Absolutely.
But what would it take for somebody else is you need to find your true meaning in this life. For you to go out there and do what you have capable to visualize and knowing that all you got to do is get up and fucking do it. But then that is a very intimate process for everybody, because not everybody, I cannot answer this question that is so intimate. All I can tell you is, for me, it became the understanding that God has allowed me to build a life, despite the fact that I was supposed to, like my introduction, I was supposed to be dead at the age of 12. I'm still around. I'm the first in my family that has built a business that is over 7 digits, and it's being me. If you're not getting the results that you're looking for, there's only one person to blame. It's you. But however, how do you get past that? To me, it came, once again, I wasn't that person until I came to find him. Because I was always the guy that I knew what I wanted, but I will never be disciplined to do the work. Yet so I didn't get the results. So what do? Do I come and bitch and moan to the man upstairs? Or do I come and I bitch at myself and look at the camera? I'm like, I'm the one that's fucking up. I'm the one that I know what I got to do, but yet I'm not doing it. It's a very intimate process. It's very intimate for everybody. But to me, it's easier to know that there's a formula in my head.
Yeah.
Identify, visualize, structure, execute, and remain intentional. Fuck, there's a formula that I can at least try to figure out how to start to do the work. Doing the work, it's up to you. It's like when you told, otra vez, el nombre del guy, Ish. Just the way you told Ish, if you do this, boom, you open up your own first shop. What did he do? He followed the playbook. But not everybody's willing to do that. But that's why, as a mentor or as a coach or as a consultant, I'm going to provide you with as many tools that I can for you to go do the work. But I'm not going to go out and do the fucking work for you. Yeah. I'm not. Same thing. God has allowed us and he has given us so many tools to get close to him and to do the work. But yet we don't do it. And what do? We complain. Oh, why is he so unfair? It's like, well, dude, he gives us free will. Doing the work, it's up to you. Oh, why are people so horrible? Because they decide to be fucking horrible. Yeah. What if that person decided to pull the trigger and kill that person? Because that's exactly what they fucking did. That's what they chose to do. We wake up every day with choices. Whether we do them or not, that's up to you. So I wish I could tell you how can somebody get up and have the energy to do the work. But it's maybe they're going through something physically. Maybe they're going through something very deep emotional. But how do you get out of that deep hole? Once again, you get two paths. You get to do it on your own, or you get to do it with Jesus. I chose to do it with him, and it's worked for me. To the point that I'm talking about him, and a lot of people have unfollowed me. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, if I for the past 4 years, if I had to accept an agenda that I don't agree with, an agenda that has been indoctrinating a lot of our children, an agenda that we have seen how clear it is that is the opposite of what God has come to teach us, but yet we don't have to accept it, but I had to at least be aware of it, and they're not staying quiet about it. Why do I gotta stay quiet about my beliefs, which is a belief of do not steal, do not kill? Like, it's much better than what my kids and all of us have been fed for the past 4 years. Agree or disagree? You know, this is it's a freedom of speech.
Exactly.
They've had their freedom of speech. I'm having mine. The difference is I'm choosing to exercise my freedom of speech and tell everybody that I trust and I believe in Jesus. And I'd rather live this lifestyle than to live that lifestyle. But it's up to us, for those of us that do have a relationship with him, is to be vocal about him. To be a disciple. And I'm not talking to you, let me take you to church. It's like, dude, just listen to a guy that has gone through a lot of shit. And whether or not you find it on your own desire to execute what you have seen in your life, it'll be easier for you to at least get closer if you trust him a little bit. If you open up the book. Here I go again.
No, and this is, I'm glad you circled back around to this, right? Because this takes me back to something that I wanted to ask you. Something that I asked you before, but I'm glad we're on that conversation again, right? When it comes to what I'm getting from what you're saying when it comes to Jesus, when it comes to God, right? About if you follow Jesus, if you follow the Word, that the life you have here will be a greater life. At least what I'm getting from it is, I think it's common sense. You do good, you get good, right? Like it's karma. It's the way everything works, right? If you stay away from addiction, right? If you don't allow addiction to take over your life, right? We've been proven time and time again how that benefits, right? How you have more clarity in life, right? If you treat others good, right? Even if they treat you bad, I feel it's a numbers game. Eventually, if you keep living that way and treating everybody good, no matter how they treat you, mathematically, right? You don't even have to be religious. Just mathematically, the numbers will add up in your favor. That over time, you will gather more people in your environment that will return good to you than bad, right? And so...
And I mean, sorry to interrupt you, but it's like, dude, you're not trying to screw anybody over.
Of course.
Like, you're spreading a message that it's a message that it'll help you versus me telling me, hey, dude, let's go screw that guy's chair time, cut off his time. Like, I'm not giving that type of advice. You know, it's like, and I'm not trying to tell you, I'm not giving you an advice to go and tell your children that they can choose whatever they want to be, a unicorn. When I'm like, no. It's like, I'm telling them, like, just look at this way. We looked left for a long time. What if we look right for a little bit? What do you got to lose?
Yeah.
I mean.
Absolutely. And I get that. And I also get how living the life in the Word does bring you that good. And I believe you've given me a great, you've created for me what it looks like when you live the Word and what it creates for your life here when you're on earth, right? And so this is the question I'm circling back to now, right? Which is, I get how being the Word creates a life for you here when you're alive, right? What I'm curious about is, for you, what does that life afterwards look like? That is one question.
Afterwards, like when I cross over?
Like when you cross over, right? Like I get what following the Word here looks like, but what does it create for you afterwards? And this is coming from the idea or the conception I've heard where, like, there's, like, it's as far as you, like, your memories, right? Your memories, your consciousness, all of the things that your flesh was here on earth, right? The things that make you, which is your ego, right? Like the things that make you, when you cross over are gone. Like there's nothing. And so how do we even know what we are in the next life? Like, how do you even know if whatever you did in this life crossed over to the next one?
Right.
What does that look like?
I wish I had an answer for that.
I'm saying, what does it look like to you? And I'm only saying, I'm asking that, right? Like, I'm curious because
that is a really good question.
Because
I bet you if you were asking a theologian, they will get back to the Bible and boom, 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 they'll point it out for you.
But I'm saying for you, what is it?
But to me,
for you, you're living your life by the word of God, for sure, for what it gives you here, right, while you're alive.
Yeah.
But I also heard you say that you also do it for the next life,
yeah.
right? And so for you, what is it that you're doing it for?
I hope I get wings and I get to be an angel. You know, dude, I honestly, the reason why I'm doing this life, the way I chose to live the rest of my life with him, with God, with Jesus, for when I get to cross over, is to simply be next to him. Just to simply be there with him.
Okay.
To have a space next to him, and whatever it is that he's going to make me do, whatever it is, it's just being with them.
Do you think you'll be conscious?
Do I think I'll be conscious?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you think you'll know that that's Jesus
so
you're
look,
walking next to?
so let me put it this way. Let me bring it. Okay. So you asked me, do I think that I'm gonna know if Jesus that I'm walking up to? Can I share another testimony? People's gonna think I was high when I shared this one, but I was not high.
Okay.
So this is last year, sometime around January, I would say. So we're sleeping. So I have my 7-year-old daughter and I have my 3-year-old daughter and my wife. I'm not gonna say her age. So we're all sleeping in the same room, dude. Fuck, we have 4 rooms and we're all sleeping in the same one. And we have I don't even know what the size of the bed is, but it's a big ass bed. It's my wife, my daughter Hazel, and then myself. And then we got Jade on a little side bed next to my bed. So I'm sleeping. We're all sleeping right there. And then all of a sudden I'm having a dream in which I can see my dad and I can smell my dad. My dad used to smoke. So I can see my dad in front of me, but he doesn't turn around to see me. And we're like in this weird place where there's a huge clouds coming in. It's like a stormy kind of day. And I can say, Dad, is that you? And he just moves his head, but he never turns back. So I get to the point that I reach my dad and I hug him. And when I hug him, take a big old deep breath. And as I exhale my air, I will see my body laying down. I can see Hazel, I can see Wendy, and I can see Jade. I can see my own body laying down, and I can see everybody. I'm like, what the fuck? And as I exhale, I hear a really weird noise, dude. I thought it was a dog, Bella. My dog's name is Bella, too. I'm like, Bella? So I'm sleeping, and I'm trying to move my hands. I can't fucking move my hands. I'm looking at my whole entire body. I take another deep breath, and I exhale, and I hear the same noise. As I did this, I can see my body going up and going down from the air. But I'm like, wait a second, I'm not in my body. And I'm trying to move my body. I'm like, there's something in my body. And it's not me. Something got control of my body. I'm literally telling this to myself as I'm seeing everybody fucking sleep right next to me. I close my eyes, I turn to the left, and I begin to pray. Heavenly Father, Lord Jesus Christ, I know that this is happening because I'm very close to you. But I can tell you that I'm scared, even though I'm not supposed to be scared. But whatever is inside my body, I pray that you will help me and get control back of my own body. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. As I get through the middle of the Our Father, I can see Jesus. I see nothing but a line, like light, just radiant light of a human being. And it looked the same way like you would see him on a painting. I see him from afar, and I know, Jesus, that's you. Jesus begins to do this, like whatever he starts to expel. The minute he did this for the 3rd time, look at my body. I'm back in my body. First thing I did, I just took the biggest deep breath and like, I start to breathe like, fuck, what the fuck? I'm trying to move my hand. I finally am able to move my hand, but my hand is so heavy. My body was so heavy as if I was drunk or anything like that, that I can barely sustain my own body. And the minute I was able to get control of my body, I sit up on the chair, on the bed. I look at the girls. I'm like, this just really fucking happened. I go and I drop to my knees and I just keep on praying. I can tell you, and you can call me crazy. You can call me whatever you want. This is the beautiful thing about having faith. Yeah. You start a business, you have faith that it's going to happen. You get married, you have faith that it's going to work out. You have kids, you have faith that they're going to be healthy, nothing's going to happen. You have a life and you get to choose to have faith or not. That is up to you. I chose to have faith. I drop in my knees and I just start to pray, and I'm like, I just saw Jesus. And I got control of my body. And just like I know Jesus is real, I know the enemy is real. And the enemy gets closer to those that are building a relationship with him because he's fighting for that soul, dude. So, do I know there's another life? Yes. You ask me, I'm confident there's a next life. Do I know how that life looks like? Fuck no.
No,
I don't.
not.
I don't. But there's a lot more people that have gone through situations that they have passed and they have seen different things. I believe that I do. I choose to believe. You get a choice. It's up to you. But to me, I've seen too much to neglect it. I've experienced too much to not do what I'm doing right now. To use not my platform, but to use the platform that he's building for me. The platform that he's built for you. Because you have a great gift. You have a great gift to communicate. But it's up to you how you're going to choose to use the rest of the gift for whatever time you have left. You can either choose it to bring the pleasure that you're looking for in this earth, or you can choose it to bring somebody else as well, to get closer to him. We all have that choice if you know him. But to me, it's like, I'm going to use it.
Yeah.
If you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So my next question comes from somebody who hasn't had any of those visions, right? Like hasn't had any of those those testimonies where I can say I was at a low point, or I was at a very fearful point, or that there was something going on, and like, bam, like a vision, an experience, I seen, right? Like coming from somebody who really, I have no experiences like that I'm aware of to share with you, right? So coming from that, how challenging do you believe it is for someone to really get where you're at in your relationship with God and with Jesus Christ that hasn't had anything like that happen yet? And why do you believe some people have those experiences and some people don't?
Time. It's all about timing. People come to give their life to Jesus in extreme situations, life-changing situations. You're experiencing near death. You're experiencing the loss of somebody. But when you get to come to Jesus, you can expect to have all these things, all these experiences, all this experience. It's in the Bible, it's spiritual wars. It's not a war between the living, it's a war between the spiritual world. And when you choose to come closer to him, and when you choose to accept everything that he has done for you, and when you choose to be vocal about it, you will experience them. It's all time. And it's a time for that person. It's a very intimate journey to come close to him. But until you find yourself in a situation that I pray to God this never happens. But if you're in a situation that somebody close to you is near death, you'll come to him. And that's what a lot of people do. We come to him when we need that. But yet, why do we have to wait for that to happen? Of
course.
Why do we need to wait for that to happen? To me, I've experienced too much. I was supposed to be dead at the age of 12. I've experienced abuse as a child. I've experienced a lot to know that the evil is real. And I've experienced a lot in my lifestyle as a musician. I've experienced it, but then it got to the point like, okay, he will tell you when it's time. Like you will feel something in your gut to the point that I bought my first Bible out of nowhere, and then 6-9 months later, boom, my dad gets diagnosed with cancer. So how do you tell this to somebody? Look, all I can do is to share my story. It's to plant the seed. The seed is going to either fall when you're planting a seed. It's either going to be on fertile ground, or it's going to fall on hard ground, and nothing's going to happen. It's either going to sprout a plant and a life is going to come out of it, or it's just going to die there. When you're starting your business, you're either going to build something amazing that is going to give life to a lot of people, to create revenue from it, to be able to eat from it, and that's something that you get to give birth to. It's the same thing. You either have faith in your business working, or you have faith that God is going to come at some point and make himself present, but it comes just by planting the seed. How do you explain that to somebody once again? It's like, do you have the urge to get to know him? Have you asked yourself these questions before this conversation? Have you been fighting yourself and like, oh, maybe you go to church and you've heard a couple sermons that hit you, but when you walk out, does it end right there? Or does it continue for you to, I want to know more about you, man. You become obsessed to wanting to find out who Jesus really is. That's what happened to me. But once again, it's a very intimate process. But the more and the more, just like you said earlier, you want to surround yourself with people that can show you how to do coaching and mentoring. You're like, well, I want to surround myself with people like that, but also with people that we have the same belief.
Yeah.
Because we're just going to the same faith, because we're going to feed each other out. Church is not just going to church on Sundays. Church is what we decide to when we walk out. Church is by us, you and I talking about him, we're making a church, you know? And I'm not telling you become a Catholic, become a Christian. Like, I'm just telling you there is a God, and to me it's Jesus. That's how you'll find out at some point. If you're not there yet, if you have experienced it, awesome. But if you haven't, just be curious.
Yeah.
To know what your life will be like, because the curiosity is not just you; it's him just kind of like poking, like, hey, just check this out. Look right for a minute. Wake up early and just, hey, read the Bible. Just read it on your own. Like, what are you gonna lose from it? Nothing. And then you see. Then you get to have these experiences of enemies and devils or whatever it is, which are not cool. But then to me, it's like I'm excited. Like I'm blessed that happened. Why? Because that shows me how close I am to Him. It's a fight between the spiritual world.
Yeah. In your businesses, in your consulting, right? Like everything that you're up to, I'm almost certain you can tell me a lot of great stories of how your faith has really helped you with that, and how your faith has brought you closer to some of your clients, how your faith has brought you closer to some of your employees and some of your partners, right? So I believe there's a lot of that. I really do, based off of everything I've gotten from you. Have you ever, and if you have you ever been challenged? Have you ever had any challenges with partnerships, with clients, with employees when it comes to your faith? And if so, what have some of those challenges looked like?
No. And I'm vocal. But this is the beautiful thing. We have created a culture in which we respect. I talk about them. I do Bible studies on Thursday with the team who wants to connect, who connects. We do Bible studies at the office for people that want to come in, other entrepreneurs like yourself. You're more than welcome to. But I'm also starting to do this with my own team. But they hear me. I send messages on the group app, and I tell them, hey, have a blessed day. It's like nobody talks negatively. Why? I think everybody's mature enough to understand. I'm sending good wishes. I'm not wishing everybody was fucking dead. So I think that's something that we respect.
Have you ever lost anyone because of it? Has
No.
anybody ever like left your company and said,
No.
you know what, I'm not?
No.
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 Wow.
And I'm pretty sure I don't think it's gonna happen because
That's
everybody
fucking
knows
great.
me.
That's
Everybody
awesome.
knows me more. I just think less people will want to work with me now.
Ah, okay.
But that's different because it doesn't hurt me. But
Yeah,
as far
at
as losing people because of it, nope. Nobody, man. And that's what keeps me more excited to, hey, let me. I talk to my wife, I'm like, shit, should I become a pastor? Should I become a minister? Like, I can tell you right now, I will walk away from it all if I get to live a life of just preaching Him. And I think I've said it too many times to the point that Leto's struggling. I told you earlier, like, all right, God, all right. Maybe I'll take it back a little bit. Let's knock it down a notch.
Yeah.
No, but to me, it's that bad. It's not that bad. It's that big that I would walk away from it if I get to live a life of just talking about Him and knowing that my family and this is what holds me back, and that's how I know I still got to work on my faith. Is if I know and I have my relationship with Him, I should be able to walk away from it all, knowing that financially we'll be okay.
Yeah.
But I also think it's like, if I didn't dedicate the time for the past decade to build this business, I wouldn't be here talking to you.
Yeah.
So what is happening now is like,
Little by little,
be patient.
Mm-hmm.
I'm building the platform for you to come and do it. If you walk away from it, you're not going to have the same platform. So people are starting to pay more attention. Why? Because I'm somebody in business who is bringing God into it every single day versus having another pastor coming and talk to you. I go to church, I go to Sandals, and I'm very happy going to Sandals. And I really appreciate the way Pastor Matt gives the message and everybody else in that congregation. And I wasn't that guy. I fucking hated going to church. I am that type of guy now that I want to go. But once again, it's like I'm just an outside trying to do the same thing. It's just discipling people. So if I get the blessing to at some point sell my businesses and just dedicate my life to preach and talk about Him, I'll do it.
Yeah. That's
I
awesome.
hope so.
If you can dedicate your life to it while sustaining your lifestyle financially, then you'd absolutely do it.
But I guess a lot of people, if they're listening to it, which they will, is like, well, then you're not really have a faith because then you would just walk away. And they'll bring it up to the Bible.
But I mean, so I get that somebody who maybe isn't listening might say that, right? But like, for example, somebody right now, like who is listening, I don't get that at all, right? Like at least everything that I'm getting from what you're saying, you said it in one word, that it's patience, right? Like you being close to God, you accepting that word, you having faith that whenever that time comes is when that time is supposed to come, right? You have faith that that's going to happen, right? Just because you have faith doesn't mean it has to happen now, right? But because you have faith that it's going to happen, you also know that it's not there yet, and all you need is patience to reach what you have faith in.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Just like building a business. First 2-3 years, you're going to struggle. But if you stick to it, it will pay out the dividends. It'll pay out the rewards. The income will come. But it's all within time. But then who's in control of time? God.
Yeah.
And then everybody says it's so cliche. We're in a society that we want everything fast. We want it now. We want it now. But it's true. We're not willing to pay the price. We're not willing to pay the price to really know what it is to go on your own and build a business, because it's fucking painful. Takes a lot of guts. Takes a lot of nights of how am I going to pay the bills. It doesn't matter how successful you are. Even at that point, like, there's still going to be some habits in there or some struggles that you're going to have to get through. It's the same thing with your relationship with God. It's like, okay, God, let me build this relationship, but little by little. You cannot just expect from one day to the other, when you're being away from him for so long, for him to come in right away, give everything that you can ask for. You know, it's like, no, you got to work for it. You got to work for it in business and in personal life and in your relationship with him, with God. And I'm glad you said that, because at the end of the day, it's like, time is the essence of it all. It's just, what are you going to do with your time?
Yeah.
Are you going to
choose your time?
Are you going to choose the rest of your time to give your body the pleasures that it wants? Or are you just going to simply sacrifice and like, okay, there's got to be something
There's got to be something more.
Yeah. It's all time.
Well, I do have plenty, now that we're circled back to business, right? And time, I think it's going to tie in really well to one question that I'm really interested in asking.
Go for it.
Looking for a top-notch barbershop experience? Booking your appointment is quick and easy. Visit ogclipjoint.com. Download our app from the App Store or Google Play, or call to book directly with the owner of your local shop. Whether you prefer to schedule online, through our app, or over the phone, we make it simple for you. With convenient locations in Covina and San Dimas, right here in the San Gabriel Valley, we're ready to keep you looking your best. Stop by the original Clip Joint Barbershop today.
So one of the questions that I wrote down, right, which is sometimes I don't even think we're going to get to most of this, right? I don't even think I've even looked at this whole time that we've been here, right? But which, by the way, this is one of those things we were talking about before of like how I learned through the process that it's not really about doing something for the audience. It's about how do I really want to do this podcast and what is it really for, right?
Okay.
I feel like the first maybe like 14 episodes, I actually intentionally tried keeping it like an hour and 10 minutes because I had that story like, if it's longer than an hour, people won't watch it, right?
Shit,
people
look
won't
up Joe
finish
Rogan,
it,
dude,
right?
3 hours.
3 hours, right? And then eventually I got to that where it's like, man, I'm not doing it for if somebody watches it or not. Like I'm doing it for the practice of communication. I'm doing it for creating value. And so now I'm like, dude, if my guest has fucking 3 hours to go, let's go, right? Like I'm going to take advantage of it.
As long as the combo is good.
Yeah, as long as the combo is good, then we're good to go. Which honestly, man, I've been very blessed. A lot of people that I've had on here, combo's been excellent. Excellent. I've loved it. One of the questions I have is, how do you apply the CEO knowledge to a small business? Right now, what I mean by the CEO knowledge is what I got from some of your social media posts is to delegate, right? Like try not to do everything yourself and just kind of building a team and building people around you to do it, right? Yeah. So I love that, right? And what comes up for me is what I hear a lot, right, is I don't want to do everything and I don't make enough money to pay others to do it for me.
Okay.
You know, for example, content creation, marketing, bookkeeping, cleaning, right? Like a lot of the times I know that as small business owners, we do all of these things. And although we're not content creators, we don't have money to pay a content creator. Although we're not marketing strategists, we don't have the money to pay somebody to be a marketing strategist. What do you tell people who say that?
So let's be a little bit more intimate. What do you struggle with the most as a small business owner?
I would say getting my content out there. I love creating content, right? And I love having like the ideas of what kind of content pieces to create. And I have a ton of video on my phones of ideas I've had that I've actually filmed for, right? It's just the getting it produced
which is an important piece for your business because that's
and then
your
putting it out
marketing.
there. Yep, exactly.
Have you ever thought about outsourcing it, the editing?
Yes. So right now I now started outsourcing it to my daughter. Right. Okay. I have an 18-year-old daughter, and she's really good at a lot of stuff. She's actually the one that edited from Steve's last episode to the one that I just recorded last. Mm-hmm. She's now doing all of that for me.
Okay.
Right. And then she's also going to start doing a lot of my reels and a lot of my marketing I'll be creating it. I'll just send her all the content.
Boom. You already fixed that.
She does that for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then the way I see it is, fuck it, like whatever I have to cut back on my lifestyle a little bit, I'll cut back on that so that I can pay her for doing all of those things that I know I'm struggling to do.
Why wouldn't the business pay her directly?
So yeah, well, the business pays her directly, but nonetheless, whether it's the business, it's still an expense, right? The money,
but now
the money comes from somewhere.
Now you're barely starting to do this.
Yeah,
I've been doing this for 2 years now. My editing team one of them is in the Philippines, one of them is in Argentina. I used to work with a marketing agency in which we would block out one day for content creation, and they will go back and they will edit it and they will distribute it on my social media platforms. It's delegate. Like to me now, it came in the form of I have somebody who's helping me in the Philippines to edit the content because it takes a lot of time. You were telling me earlier at the beginning how many hours? 10 hours editing one of the podcasts?
Yeah.
It's like that's time that you should be using to either be having another guest on the podcast, or you should be using that time to bring somebody else to fill up a chair or to find different ways to generate revenue. Because you are essentially doing the work of somebody who's going to get paid $20 an hour. You're doing it yourself when your hourly wage should be at least $250, $300 an hour. Mm-hmm. So you just find the ways. To me, it's now, for that particular problem is, okay, I stopped doing content in the month of January because I'm restructuring everything. I'm restructuring. One is my vision of what I'm trying to do with my brand, with my content, is really aligning my message that I want to put out there versus just throwing up content just to throw it up. It's also understanding that I'm going to start to do a podcast like you are doing. That takes a lot of time. But I'm putting the content together, and now I have somebody that I can either send them the files in the Philippines or somebody who's going to be in Argentina to put it together. There's ways to do it. And smaller companies are the ones that should be leveraging outsourcing more than the bigger companies, because the bigger companies have the money to pay somebody in-house. But they're fucking smart to do it because they're saving so much in cost. But now is what are you going to do with the time that you're freeing up to generate revenue? If you're going to have to pay $300 a month for somebody to edit your videos, what is it that you can do to make that extra $300 so that you're not paying it out of your pocket? The company is paying for that. So find a way to generate a new source of revenue within your business that is going to make $300 an hour.
Now, how does somebody find that, right? Like, let's just say somebody has a liquor store, right, or a restaurant or a barbershop,
okay,
right? Like, and your barbershop or your business is at a certain like capacity, right?
Okay.
And then so to outsource, right, to start paying these people, what are some of the things some people can look for within their business to generate?
So
more
now
income?
you gotta realize: are you doing personal content or are you doing corporate content? Because if you're doing corporate content, then you're supposed to be bringing in more business, which therefore you keep everybody more busy. So therefore the money will come back on its own. But what you're doing right now with the podcast, you're not cutting my hair.
Yeah,
it's not bringing revenue to the table. You're doing this for your personal content.
Of course.
So now, are you going to generate revenue from personal content, or are you going to generate revenue from corporate content? And if you're going to do corporate content the way you're doing personal content, then you can find ways that maybe you talk to your team, commissions, maybe get a fee or anything in there just to substitute the cost in return that, hey guys, I'm going to keep, if you were getting 10 appointments a week, you should get 15 appointments a week. So they won't feel that hurt of the extra 5% commission. So now you really need to figure out how are you going to leverage your business model with the team that you have, with the hands, but making sure that you also start to create content exclusively for, is that your company?
Yep.
Clip Joint Barbershop. If you got to get a haircut, I'm going to get a haircut with them later. We should record that haircut. Yeah. But see, it's like, now you really got to put on the hat of, okay, if you're doing this for the business or you're doing this for the personal brand. And if you're doing it for the personal brand, then at some point, maybe you'll start to find a way to monetize your podcast. You will have to, without the money coming from you. Maybe you start to sell more gear, or that now it's like putting on my business consultant hat.
Yes.
Now I really got to understand your business model to help you identify new ways that we can generate revenue to make sure that at least that revenue is going to cover those $300 to $400 a month, which therefore it should bring at least $1,000 to $1,500 a month from the content that you're going to create. But maybe just a simple way that I can think about, maybe ask for implement a content creation fee for the clip joint, so that you get to put the content out there for them to cut more hair. That could be one way. Either way, you're already creating content, but the difference is, cool, your daughter's going to do it, but your daughter's going to go through the learning curve of doing it.
Of course.
And like, to me, it's like, I've been talking to my wife, it's like, maybe you should help me do this so that instead of outsourcing the revenue, I pay you. But it's like, how much time are we going to implement to learn it? Versus working with somebody who's like, crank it out, find the right cost, boom, boom, the content keeps on coming out. Then eventually it should come into sales for me. For me, it's through the sales of more consultations, Or it's going to be through the mixing knowledge, more people buying tickets to come into the next event that we're going to host. Or maybe it's somebody who wants to come and buy a commercial policy from one of our agents. Somebody who wants to do a retirement plan for their business and save money in taxes. So it's when you're creating content, you have to create it. You have to have multiple marketing campaigns. This is marketing 101. Well, if it's marketing for financial services and marketing for commercial, what are you doing the marketing for? And how are you going to monetize it?
Are you doing it for beard service, are you doing marketing for beard service, marketing for haircut, marketing for products, right? Because if you sell more products, you generate more revenue.
Exactly.
Got it.
So now you put on your marketing hat, not for yourself, but for the business.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely get that.
So how do you do it for every business owner is different. It depends on what the business needs. I'm just speaking on you because
I'm here.
You're here.
I'm the one that's here. Yeah. And that's awesome. And I definitely thank you for that, because it definitely has me see the perspective of dividing both. Right. I've been looking at content creation as like they both kind of all fall under one umbrella, which is why I pretty much do all of them, which is why I'm getting my daughter to do all of them. Right. But I can definitely see where it's going to be an investment, right, to outsource for the corporate content, at least, knowing that that's going to be the content that I'm outsourcing it, I'm paying for it, it's getting done right away, but it's something that should begin generating revenue shortly after starting to do those campaigns. So that I can definitely get. With the personal stuff, I feel for me it's not just the personal brand like the podcast, but even hiring my daughter to do it is personal to me, because I also want to, right now that she's going to college, I want to see if I can create the opportunity for her to learn this stuff, like it, and then while she's going to college, not just earn income from me paying her for these things, right? Which if it was up to me, I'd give her the money whether she did it or not, right? I'd give her the money anyway. Right, but if I can give her the money in exchange for doing,
it's a win-win.
Then it's
and
a win-win.
She might like it enough to go and maybe make that a major for herself in college.
Exactly.
So no, I understand what you're doing. And when my daughters get to that age, hopefully I can do the same thing if that's something they want to try out. But that makes total sense.
Yeah.
You never know what you're going to spark in her.
Got it.
Yeah.
And so I guess the answer to my question is when you say, I would love to delegate these things, I would love to outsource these things, but I don't have money. It's about really just sitting down and seeing, well, where can that money come from?
That's not only where the money is going to come from. First thing is, what does the business need? Remember earlier I said is when you want to scale a business, is not what you want, is what the business needs. So how much time are you dedicating on accounting, let's just say, which is another task that a lot of small business owners, they run themselves. Doing the accounting on themselves. Now you can utilize QuickBooks and then you can systemize everything. But then you still got to go in there and plug in the times. How much time is it going to take you? Maybe if you can free out from your time 10, 15 hours a month from doing accounting, that's 10, 15 hours a month that you can dedicate to make money.
Doing something else.
Income generating activities, IGAs versus non-IGAs. What are your income generating activities versus your non-income generating activities?
Okay.
And when you dedicate your time to non-IGAs, that's something that you can delegate. That's something that you should have done. Wait a second. Editing a video, that's a non-IGA. Creating the content, that's an IGA, as long as you're doing it properly. Doing accounting, that's a non-IGA. Doing your taxes, that's a stupidity. You shouldn't do your own taxes.
Yeah.
But that is, start to see it like that. Okay, get down one of my sheets. It's like, okay, start to identify your non-IGAs versus your IGAs and how much time you dedicate to them a month. And then from there, like, oh, wait a second. I could be doing this instead of that, and I could make an extra $400 or $500 when it's probably going to cost me maybe let's just say to bring somebody in, like on my end, I have our CFO, Julian Garcia. He's been running my finances for the past 4 years. I don't touch anything when it comes to finances. I don't pay commissions. All I do is get together with him once a month. Okay, where are we? But that revenue that I pay him, it allows me to do these things. It allows me to unplug, to go in and create. Remember, I told you earlier, how are you going to find the time to create your coaching business, to create your community, to talk, be on stage? It's by stop doing those things. And once again, I don't see this as time wasted because it's already going aligned with my business plan for 2025, 2026, 2027, which is to create the platform for the strategic consulting, which is to create the platform for mixing knowledge. Because at the end of the day, they're all the funnel. This is just the funnel where I get to have the opportunity to talk to people like you that at some point you come to the meeting and I can show you, hey, I can save you probably $15,000 in taxes by learning and doing a financial review of your company, but yet I'm already charging a consulting fee. So it's once again, I get to do these things because I'm structuring the new business, but once again, I'm delegating what I shouldn't be doing. So it's non-IGAs versus IGAs.
That's awesome. And what I'm also hearing is like, how can you incorporate all the things you want to do anyway, but in a way where they can also generate income for you?
And that's why when you said that you were doing this for free, it's like, well, I did that for free. But it's like, it's my time. It's like I'm taking revenue from Leto to go and allocating to a business consulting that I love to serve, don't get me wrong. But part of serving and creating wealth is looking after our family and providing for others. So providing for others, that also means my wife. That also means my daughters. So I cannot just be taking away from them to give to somebody else. But that doesn't mean I'm going to come and overprice somebody when I know what I'm capable to add. And that's why I have different coaching prices. That goes to you too. It's like, hey, really put some time behind it that you will make money from it as well. So if you're making, I'm just saying, $50,000 from cutting from your shop over here, and you're making an additional $25,000 on the new on your new advisories, like that's $75,000. And then you start to create a platform that people, you're well, probably for the podcast, you won't want to charge your guests, but you start to have sponsors. Maybe a lot of all these people that you work with, they sell you products. Hey, would you like to sponsor my podcast? Now you start to put there, like, I know this guy from the ranch. He has a deal with, and I use their hair product. It's called Cubo.
Okay.
Cubo, I don't know if you're familiar.
Cubo, I've heard of Cubo.
So he sells their hair product, which I couldn't find on Amazon. So I like her product. So maybe you start to find partnerships with them for your podcast. And boom, you charge them $500 a month. That's not a lot of money. Somebody who wants to see you have a big reach on Instagram. You got 14,000 followers. I only got 3,300. You know how much people will want to, like, shit, I'm going to do some sponsorship with them.
Yeah.
So now you get to collect revenue from sponsorships. Then you get to, now you're covering your costs for your editing. So it's just finding different ways to generate revenue, dude. That's $600, by the way. That's $600 for the tip.
Bill me when you're out of here, Tony.
I'll send you the advisory fee.
Thank you for that. I mean, that definitely gives me a lot of perspective, a lot of insight. It definitely gives me a lot to think about too, after we leave this podcast, which again, for me, this is why I do this.
Have you ever thought about
this
that?
This is why I do this.
Getting sponsorships from the people you work with?
Yeah, I've thought about that.
Why haven't you done it?
So for me, I guess I've been creating the story of, like, for me, I want to get at least 30 episodes under my belt of, like, practice, right? And getting, like, my intention with the podcast down, really being able to like have a structure of how I book guests, like use 30 episodes to create my system.
Okay.
To really create how I want to structure out this podcast moving forward. Okay. Right? And I also thought to myself, if I can do 30 episodes, right? If I can do 30 episodes, for me, that's like my my signal that, okay, I like this. I'm serious about this. This is something that I'm going to continue doing for the foreseeable future, right?
Remaining intentional.
And so for me, what it was like, before I get any sponsorships, before I even start trying to reach to that level, I want to kind of show myself that I'm serious, that, like, this is not just something I'm going to stop doing, right? You and I were having a conversation before we even hit record, I think, of, like, you started a podcast, it went 2 episodes, you and your partner didn't work out. Yeah. Bam, right?
And then I'm doing it again, and I got to remain intentional.
Right? And so I felt like because I was aware of those experiences, and I don't go too far. Like, I've had those experiences before where I start a project, and halfway through I stopped.
Yeah.
I end up realizing it wasn't for me. Like, it's okay. Maybe this isn't what I thought it was.
Yeah.
Right. And so now I redirect, right? Like, and I move to something else. Right. And so my answer to that question is, why haven't I thought? I watch Joe Rogan. I watch tons of podcasts myself. Right. And so I'm very well aware of the sponsorship thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very well aware that there is ways of monetizing your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like, I still haven't done it yet, but I do intend to, like, 10 minutes into every episode, putting just like a 20, 30-second commercial of the barbershop.
Cool.
Right? Like a nice videograph, really, like, where I have a voiceover over it and, things like that.
Yeah.
10 minutes into every episode, start implementing a little 20, 30-minute
cool,
commercial for the barbershop.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because I always give a shout out to the barbershop at the end.
Okay.
Right? At the end. And you'll hear it, right? Like, I say shout out to the one and only sponsor, right?
There you go.
which is not just supplementing this podcast, but is also supplementing my life. That's always my slogan at the end of every episode, right? And that's kind of my way of, like, putting at least a shop out there. But again, it's taken me time.
Yeah.
It's taken me practice, and I'm being patient, right? And we talked about that earlier.
Yeah, and time.
I'm being patient with my process of this podcast and really trying to structure all those things out, right? If by episode 30, I can get how to implement my little clip joint commercial 10 minutes in, right? And if, like, during an intermission, right, I can get the practice on how to implement another little, right? Then whenever I do go and have those conversations with people, I said, look, check out a few of episodes. Look at minute 10, right? Look at minute 155, right? And then just let me know, right? And then when they go to minute 10, they're going to see the clip joint commercial. When they go to minute 155, they're going to see, your intermission clip, right? Whatever we put on there.
Yeah.
And then now they can actually visually see, like, okay, if I sponsor this person, not only will their coffee mug, right, have my logo, not only will Tony's water canteen, right, have the logo, but then there's also going to be a little frame here. And then the first 10-minute spot is the one I'm going to get.
Okay.
Right? And the 155-minute spot, the clip joint gets that one.
You already have it all identified.
Yeah, so
that's awesome, man.
These are little things
really
that,
cool. That is really cool.
Like, these are little things that I'm playing with right now.
You're
right?
gonna make
and
it
so,
happen.
yeah.
You got a good personality for hosting a podcast, and you know how to keep the conversation going, which is not easy to do.
Yeah,
And
you're
you
right.
gotta-
And for me, honestly, like I said, I've been so blessed to have the guests that I've had on so far, because I feel like for the most part, it has been easy, man. It's like, it's fun. Like when we hit stop, right, on everything, like, for me, it's almost been every time where at the end it's like, woo, like, that was fucking awesome.
That's
right?
awesome, dude.
Like, that was great, right? Like, I can't believe we just did 2 hours, 3 hours of, like, nonstop, like,
What's your
bam,
longest
bam,
combo?
bam, bam. I think my longest so far has been like 145 or almost 2 hours, something like that,
Damn.
between 145 and 2
Okay.
hours. But again, that's recent. That's only been my last 2 episodes. Everything
Okay.
before that was like a minute 10 and below.
Okay.
Right? Now I don't cut conversations off unless you tell me, like, I have some, like, right now it's 156. I asked Tony to be here at least till 2, so if he's got to go, we're going to have to cut this short. But at the same time, that's what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Right? If I have the time and you have the time to go until I've covered most, or until one of the phones dies, right? We're
Keep on
looking at, right?
at
Like,
them.
we keep on looking at them, right? Like, if we go until that happens, then great, right? But that's what it is now. It's how long can we keep this conversation
That's
going,
awesome, dude. I
right?
like
And how
that.
long can we both just be excited to share, right? How long can we both just be excited to listen to the other person?
Yeah.
And how long can we remain curious?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
That is huge.
How long can we remain curious in a world where nowadays they say that our attention span is that of a fish, right? Like for me, it's like, it's an awesome practice of how long can I keep this curiosity going, right?
makes sense.
And so yeah. But the longest this is probably going to be my longest podcast, right? For sure. I think this is going to be it. But let me see if there's anything. There's a lot of things here.
Shoot
Let me
a couple
see.
more questions,
so,
man.
Real
Go for
quick, and I think you can give me answers quickly to this one. For you, what's the difference between a business owner and an entrepreneur?
A business owner to me is somebody who already is in charge of somebody else's economy.
What does that look like?
You have people that depend on what you build for them to take money to make money to take home.
Take home. Okay.
Yeah. It's not just about you anymore. An entrepreneur is just for himself, looking for themselves. How do I make money for me to survive? versus a business owner or a CEO. It's like, okay, it's not just about me. Leto Financial, it's not just about me. It's about 70 other people that depend on it. If I make a wrong mistake, if I make the wrong decision, it's not just my income, it affects them. So to me, that's the way I like to identify it. Somebody else probably has a different definition. Please comment that on the chat right here. But honestly, to me, it's like you become a business owner when somebody else depends on what you do for them to take money home.
Okay, awesome. And I really do hope somebody comments on that because I would love to hear what you guys think is the difference between a business owner and entrepreneur. Next question that I have is, what's the difference between a business and a company?
A business or a company? A company, to me, Leto Financial is a company. It's a form entity with rules and regulations in which we have minutes and bylaws that we have to operate and we have to document to make sure that we don't get sued. A business is just somebody who's winging it. A company, right? No, it was a business and a company?
Yeah, business and a company.
So the company is what I just described. To me, a business is somebody who is not yet put their systems in place. A procedure. If they get a lawsuit, they don't have a playbook to make sure that the business is self-sustainable. It turns into a company. Something happens to me, there's an operations manual for Leto to continue to operate. Something happens to you, how is the business continue to operate? If you don't have that in place, then put it together so that you start to transition from a business operator to a CEO. So you pay attention to things that don't make you money, but it's things that are so important to make sure that the company continues to grow. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes absolute sense. I mean, and what I'm getting from that is like a business is something that is only sustained while you're here, while you're present. A company is something that can be sustained whether you're there or not.
Well, it's not just being sustained, it's you having the procedures in place, the manuals, the operations.
A structure.
A structure. There's a structure to it. For example, a corporation, you have to record minutes every time you have a meeting with somebody else. If you don't do that, somebody comes and they sue you and they hire an attorney. The attorney legally is going to ask for the minutes of your company. You don't have that, boom. They tear what they call the corporate veil. Now they can go after your personal assets.
Yeah, got it.
So it's just really, to me, as the companies, you start to structure it for growth. And if you ever get sued, you're gonna be protected there, and to make sure that somebody can come and take over and continue to operate it. It's not just about you anymore.
How many businesses, small businesses, right? Because we were having this conversation, I think, before we hit record a little bit. But how many small businesses do you believe are in harm's way legally? Like, if you had to just guesstimate a percentage,
I would probably say less than 5%.
Less than 5%? So you feel
5%.
most small businesses are ready?
Not. No, are not.
Okay,
you say they are or they are not?
They're not. 95% is what I get.
Okay. 95% are not.
Businesses are not really in tune.
5% aren't. Yeah. 95% are not. But that's why there's so many lawsuits too for small business owners. You get one lawsuit, it wipes down pretty much most of the businesses. One, that's all it takes. But it's something that it's so easy to get a hold of. But that's, once again, I'll say it one more time, understanding what the business needs. You start to work on the operations on the business. You start to work on the structure of the business. That's what part of, to me, is what the CEO has to pay attention to. It's not only the vision of the business, where the company is going to head to, but it's also making sure, like, hey, before we get there, what are we doing on this end to protect it?
Yeah, how can we protect ourselves?
How can we protect ourselves and how we can protect the company? And once you understand how simple it is, now with the use of technology, use of AI, you can run a couple, as long as you understand what your weaknesses could be, where somebody can come and screw you over, you put that together on a document that could be somehow legal in this AI tool, ChatGPT.
Yeah, ChatGPT.
And then you back it up with an attorney, which is what I do. Every time I need to make some addendums to my contracts, okay, let me run what's in my head. Let me put them on ChatGPT. Once I see a structure, okay, hey, Julio, what do you think about this? Okay, let's add this, boom, boom, boom. Then we make it official. And it goes into the minutes. We stamp it, and we put it there. So now something happens, hey, boom, we went over it. It's already there. But now it's one thing, okay, what's going to happen if we are in the situation of the lawsuit? What are the steps to take?
What are the necessary steps afterwards?
Perfect example. Right now, we're dealing with one of our independent partner agents, which they were collecting premiums for some of their insureds, the premium for the policy, but they were not submitting the premium to the carrier. So some of these policies lapsed for non-payment when they had collected the premium. Boom. Now, here I am dealing with this potential lawsuit against the partner, not against myself, because legally we're protected, and we have proof that documentation, that the payments were not made to Leto, they were paid to the other entity. So now that person is now I'm in a predicament that I might have to report them to the Department of Insurance. But if I don't do those things, then I'm harming 50, 70 people.
Yeah.
you know? So you deal with different headaches, but you have an attorney there to back you up.
So one thing I want to make clear too, that I know it's taken us almost 2 hours, but so your main business is you sell insurance?
That is Leto Financial.
Leto Financial
Leto
is an
Financial
insurance agency, broker? Okay,
yeah,
got it.
A broker. So
okay.
we have 8 divisions. We have a financial division. The financial division breaks out into 2 subdivisions, traditional and advanced planning. The traditional is working more with the individuals, getting their own retirement plans, or getting annuities, or getting life insurance. The advanced financial division, that is when we start to work with companies in which we are repositioned $300,000 annually to create tax savings. But where is the money going? Into financial strategies as well. And then we have the commercial lines division, commercial insurance. You need a commercial insurance, general liability. You need to probably have a workers' compensation if you have employees, anything when it comes to workers' compensation. We have the employee health benefits division. And if you want to implement employee health benefits to retain everybody. Then we have the personal lines division, which that one is through the ground. Then we have the transportation division, trucking. We also have the errors and omission, professional liability division. So that alone is financial services. That's 2 sources of revenue: group health, transportation, commercial, financial services, and errors and omission. So say 8 different ways to generate revenue there.
Okay.
Because every policy that we sell, it creates revenue. But I'm not the one making the sales. Once again, it's every division is run by somebody differently.
How many years did it take from the moment you got your insurance license?
2016.
2016. Okay, so it's been almost 9 years. Almost 9 years that you took a test, and you got the license to be able to sell insurance, right? So in 2016, how many years did it take before you no longer had to sell a policy?
I will say Q2, Q3 of 2019. Q4, 2019.
So 3 years.
3 years, yeah.
3 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what was that journey like?
Fun.
Oh, I bet.
Oh, man, it was fun.
Did you work for a brokerage yourself? Did you work for a company?
I worked for another broker here in Rancho. That's how I kind of understood the independent broker side. Before that, right up the street, I used to be with Farmers Insurance. That was my journey in the insurance industry. Before that, in the personal lines and commercial. But before that, my journey started in the financial side of insurance with multi-level marketing organizations. You know, like they recruit you to sell life insurance to your friends and your family, and then they make you to recruit other people. That's how my whole journey started in the financial and insurance industry.
Do you think that's the way to go?
It's a model. It's definitely, a lot of people are killing it. You know, it's not the model that I like. It's not the model that I do with Leto Financial. Our financial division has an RFC model, Registered Financial Consultant. That's what this little pin is for. I personally don't like to go out and recruit people, sell them the dream to become independently financially when you don't even know how the fuck to make money from selling a policy.
Yeah.
Because when you start to sell a life insurance policy or you start to put financial plans together, it's a big responsibility. That's why we divide it into 2 subdivisions. The traditional, which is your simple transactions, but then you advance, is now you start to deal with a lot of money, $300,000, $400,000 annually, because we put it together with a qualified plan or a profit sharing plan. From this profit sharing plan, the company is going to end up generating $60,000, $80,000 in tax savings, while majority of the revenue is going back into the owner's pockets for their retirement plan. That to me is how I like this financial industry to be. But once again, there's different models. I'm not against the MLM model. It's just now the way I wanted to structure our company.
Got it. Okay. So people who, if somebody gets an insurance license, right, for the first time like you did, right, what would be, like for you, with your experience now, right, what do you believe, like what would you consult them in to be their steps to getting where you're at, for example?
So find your niche. Are you going to focus on personal, commercial lines, or are you going to focus on the financial side? If you're going to focus on the financial side, understand the products, understand the strategies, understand how to work with advanced financial strategies, which is how we coach our agents, is make sure that you're starting to build a relationship with the business owners so that we can therefore implement the financial strategies. Make sure that you know how to host seminars. Make sure that you can be the one doing the presentation with the business owner. Understand how this industry can make somebody else save a shitload of money in taxes.
Okay.
That is to me. Because we're not multi-level marketing. We're not, go ahead and recruit your friend and your family. Let's go somewhere. It's a different approach. If they're on the commercial lines, if they have the P&C side, understand commercial insurance. Focus on commercial insurance. Don't focus on home and auto insurance. Honestly, the home and auto insurance is a red ocean. It's bloody. And right now with all this mess that is happening in California, it's going to get even harder.
Oh,
but commercial insurance is different. Focus on commercial. Find your niche. Are you going to focus? There's this girl, her name is Rocio. She's crushing it on the construction side of insurance. Just find that area that you really want to focus on and learn it and understand it. Once you know your niche, okay, let's work on your marketing. How are you going to put your message out there? What are we doing? Okay, you're not comfortable using social media? Get comfortable using social media. You're not comfortable creating a video? Get comfortable creating a video. Honestly, because that is the best way to generate leads, to generate content. Is once you start to put the content out there, the people can understand it, they're going to hit you up. Once you put the content together, okay, where is the content going? Where is the chicken coop? Where are you going to host all this data for all these people that are coming in? Once they fill out the information, how are we going to continue to be in touch in front of them? That's where AI comes in. The marketing strategies and leveraging AI so that every week or twice a week, they're getting a message. You're staying in front of them. You're staying in front of them until they click, I'm subscribed. It's have this whole plan set up. But it's honestly way better when you put content on a video. It's like, hey, this is what I was talking to you about. How do you protect your business? Well, if you get in a lawsuit and if you find the message that you want to put out there and then you distribute it to people. But the best way is capturing the data is offer something for free. Hey, here's I'm putting together right now with AI. It's about 32 questions that once you go through them, it'll give you a basic blueprint of what you can do to implement in your business. Now, it's obviously not working with me, but it's once people come in and they start to fill in this questionnaire, they're going to get boom, boom, boom. These are things that you can actually go out and implement on your own, like you told your boy. But we're doing this to the point so that people come in, they register, and now we start to collect all this data. Bum, bum, bum. It becomes a data game. Once we have all the data, how do we stay in front of them and what for? Well, we have Mixing Knowledge coming up. Come and check out this event for business owners. Oh, we noticed that you downloaded, you completed the assessment. What questions do you have on implementing it? Would you like to schedule a call with Tony? Same thing. It's like, don't be afraid of implement data. Implement AI. But the difference here is takes time. Takes a lot of time versus going out there. Hey, Joe, come here. Let me show you. My recruiter wants to show you how I can sell you an IUL.
Yeah.
Oh, you like that? You like, okay, can we recruit you? It's a different approach.
It's a different approach.
Approach.
But it's still just, what I get from it too, it still takes just as much work.
Yeah.
Still takes just as much work.
Yeah, it doesn't happen immediately.
It's just a different type of work.
Mm-hmm.
But
the difference is, just like you gave him the roadmap, we have the roadmap. But the difference here is are you willing to fucking implement it or not?
Are you willing to take the actions like you said, are you willing to be uncomfortable in front of a camera?
Mm-hmm.
Are you willing to be uncomfortable, sending people emails, messaging people, right? Because I think that's a big story for a lot of people. I don't want to bother people. Right? I don't want to do that because then, I don't like getting, spam emails. And so I don't want to do that as well. And so I definitely get it takes going outside of the box, being uncomfortable.
But if it's not you, it's somebody else,
exactly.
Man.
Yep.
And now we're trying to go in business in this D&H. You have so many tools that you can use, but you have so many tools that are against you as well. Mm-hmm. And you got bigger companies with deeper pockets that they can implement all these strategies themselves. But how do you differentiate yourself from everybody else? It's how do you tell your story, what message you got to say, and how much value you get to add to somebody without asking them for a sale. Mm-hmm. Nobody likes to be sold to.
No, absolutely
but all of
not.
us want to make a sale. Mm-hmm. So it's and don't think that I have this to the perfection, because I'm still trying to figure it out myself. But the difference is, okay, I've tried it so many different ways to the point that, hey, it's just another way to try it out. And now all the ways that didn't work out is somebody, when we take, because we don't just bring up anybody, I'm very careful who we bring up for the financial division. If they're willing to put in the work, then we start to deploy the resources. But if they're not doing the work, then we got to cut them off.
Yeah, of course.
So that's how I started
the reward is not worth the reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you don't want to have a bad apple.
Yeah, you don't want to have a bad apple. That's awesome. Well, Tony, it's 2:11.
Okay.
I know I only had you till 2:00. So thank you so much for your time. I did hear that you have an appointment coming up at 3. With that said, I always like to leave a little bit of space at the end of the episode to kind of give you the floor, right? Tony's information will definitely be in the comments. In the description. You'll be able to get everything to follow him, his social medias, his emails, all of his business information. So you will be able to get that there along with any posts that I make. But Tony, if you could just real quick give shout out to your social media, what it is, the names of your businesses again, maybe an email into how people can kind of get in communication with you if they're interested in insurance or they have any consulting questions
Awesome,
for
brother.
you, things like that. So if you could just
Appreciate it, man. Thank
that
you.
out
First
there.
of all, thank you for inviting me. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You sent me that question on what I look for a podcast. This is the most fun that I had. I can
Okay,
tell you.
nice. Hell
This
yeah.
is the first one that I feel comfortable enough to express everything that I want to talk about when it comes to my relationship with him. So thank you for creating this space.
fuck
I really
yeah.
appreciate it, dude. Keep on doing what you're doing. You got a bright future. Don't get sidetracked by all the noise.
Yeah.
Just focus on what you can hear, and just focus on him. Focus on him. Use your platform for whatever it is that he's building it, to just plant the seed on as many people as you want. You'll be ready. If that is what your calling is, you'll know and you'll be ready for it. But if somebody needs insurance, that's where Leto Financial comes in. Leto Financial and Insurance Services. You can just send an email to info@letofis.com. The website is letofis.com. The phone number, I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
If anybody, when it comes to business, you're trying to figure out how to find the clarity. What is it that your business needs to be able to take it to the next level? If you are struggling with the business, this is what, like you, I did it for free for 3 years. Unfortunately, I can no longer do it for free.
For free, yeah.
But I feel confident enough to tell you that if we get together, there will be an implementation that you will be able to take with you. And that comes under the company TG Consulting or Tony Gutierrez. The website is being developed right now, Tony Gutierrez V for Villaseñor.com or admin TG Consulting, I think, or admin at Tony Gutierrez Consulting. I forgot what the URL is. I'll send it to you.
Yes.
And if there's business owners that are trying to find a community, you want to be able to come in and talk to somebody like Joe, somebody like Irvin, somebody like Julio, somebody who understands how to build a business and different aspects, not just from my perspective. That's where mixing knowledge comes into place. Mixing knowledge, we've been creating this business owner community for entrepreneurs that want to become business owners or business owners that want to become a CEO. This is what mixing knowledge is. And the next one is going to take place, if hopefully this comes up before that, on April 3rd. But we host one every quarter. Right there at the offices in Riverside, California. This is a pretty exciting community, partnering up with a couple of other friends. They are masters on what they do, marketing, social media, AI. So this is something that I will advise you, all of you guys and girls, to check out, is Mixing Knowledge. So Leto Financial, TG Consulting, and Mixing Knowledge.
And so I'm clear, and we're all clear. Is Mixing Knowledge free? How does that work?
So no, Mixing Knowledge is not free. There is a cost of admission. Typically, when we host them, they're on Thursdays from 5 o'clock to 9 p.m.
4 hours, okay.
Yeah, 4 hours. It's an hour for mixing at the beginning, and it's open for mixing for whoever wants to stay afterwards. We do provide with meals, with the food. We do provide with alcohol, mixing knowledge, so you cannot mix without alcohol. This is surprisingly, once people have their first 2 or 3 drinks, they'll start to ask more questions. So there is a fee of admission. We don't know exactly what the fee is going to be for this next one, but you can check it out on our social media. Mostly what I work is on my personal brand, Tony Gutierrez, the real Tony GTC on Instagram. It's also the same thing on Facebook. LinkedIn is there too, but I'm active on Instagram, on IG.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, Tony, thank you so much, guys, for everybody listening, for everybody who now has his socials. Follow Tony. You get a lot of free knowledge, right, which is social media. I think people who can actually create posts that offer knowledge, that offer value. I think it's just great that we live in this information age. I know Tony definitely posts a lot of different posts that can actually give you value just by following him. So, Tony, again, man, thank you so much for being here, brother. I'm pretty sure we're gonna do this
Hopefully
again.
We'll do it again.
Yeah, we're gonna do this again at some point. I'm pretty sure you and I now are gonna have plenty of conversations outside of this podcast as well.
I love that.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for who you are for your community. Thank you for who you are to your family. Thank you for who you are in the word and the message that you spread and what your intentions are with everything. And thank you so much for giving me the pleasure of being here with you today and saying that the intention of my podcast was fulfilled once again, which is to meet amazing human beings. And for that, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
I appreciate you too, bro.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
I got my hand like a girl right there.
With that said, guys, I want to give a shout out to our one and only sponsor, the original Clip Joint Barbershop, which not only sponsors this podcast, but supplements my life. With that said, go to ogclipjoint.com. You can book your appointment online 24 hours a day at no extra cost. Or you can call either shop, whether Covina or San Dimas, and yes, you will speak with the owner of each shop. If you call the Covina location, you will be personally speaking to me. I can personally set up your appointment.
I heard that.
Give you technical support, whatever you need. I'm here. If you call the San Dimas shop, you will be speaking to Jasmine, which she offers same technical support and book all of your appointments. So this is still the business where when you call our business, you speak to the owner personally. With that said, guys, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you stood this long for the podcast. And with that said, stay blessed, smile every chance you get, and I love y'all. Peace.
And I can testify for that. He literally answered the call to schedule up an appointment for somebody when we were doing the podcast. So he's not lying about that one. Appreciate
Again,
you, my man.
Appreciate you. Thank
Appreciate
you. Peace. Woo! There you go.
That was
baby.
fun, dude.
There you
That
go.
was fun.
Good. All right, that one, dang.
That one died?
That one died. Yep. This one, boom.
Perfect, man.
But
Let's
again,
get them running.
Yeah. Again, this is the one that this angle, I like rarely use it. So,
Okay.
Yeah, but I need to figure. I think today I usually have all three cameras hooked up to power.
Okay.
But today I forgot my lightning cables.
Oh,
These are
okay.
USB-C.
Okay.
Right, and this one is lightning, and this one is lightning.
Okay.
So I'm glad that at least these two.
They
the
held
most
up,
important
man.
ones
They held up. They didn't die.
But yeah, this one. Let me see.
So this is the receiver for the mics?
Yeah, that's the receiver for the mics. Watch, I'm going to show you right now how it sounds. Watch.
How long was it?
It was. Here, I'll tell you right now.
I forgot what the URL is. I'll send it to you.
Yes. I can't see it because it's blurry.
I heard the clock go twice, so at least it was like an hour and a half, an hour and 40.
It was 2 hours, 17 minutes.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, but watch, you could hear that.
Right, not a solo salon, not renting a chair in somebody else's shop. Like if you go and you open up your own barber shop where you create.
I'm gonna know if she says that I'm looking up to. Can I share another?
And this is the speaker from the phone. But if you were to hear it from your AirPods, like it's like these little mics give great quality sound.
Dude, they're pretty dope,
Yeah,
man.
when you, I've already put one of my videos on YouTube that I only recorded with those mics, not these mics.
Okay.
And dude, it's
Yeah.
great quality sound.
That's really cool,
And
man.
then this one right here.